Hello guys, welcome to Scion What If. So in this video, we will see what if Goku became the next Grand Priest. If you enjoy these kinds of stories, don't forget to show us some love by hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel. Your support means the world to us. Now, let's start the story. Chapter 1, The Impossible Candidate. Goku's fist sliced through empty air as Beerus flickered away, the purple god of destruction reappearing behind him with a smirk. Too slow, Scion. Goku spun instantly, his body moving before his mind could catch up, Ultra Instinct sparking like silver fire across his skin. Their forearms collided with a thunderous crack that rippled the atmosphere of Beerus's planet. Not bad, Whis commented from the sidelines, tapping his staff lightly on the ground. Your Ultra Instinct is becoming more natural, Goku. Though you're still thinking too much. Goku grinned despite the sweat pouring down his face. He'd been sparring with Beerus for nearly 3 hours straight, and while the god of destruction wasn't using his full power, neither was holding back much anymore. Can't help it, Goku replied, ducking under a devastating kick that would have taken his head off. I get excited and start overthinking. Beerus scoffed, creating distance with a backflip. That's your eternal problem. Your body knows what to do before your ridiculous brain gets involved. The air between them shimmered as they clashed again, moving faster than most beings in Universe 7 could perceive. Each impact sent shockwaves rolling across the planet's surface, bending the strange trees and rippling the small lakes. Lord Beerus is correct, Whis said, casually deflecting the energy from their battle away from his position with one finger. True mastery will come when you... Whis stopped mid-sentence, his head suddenly turning skyward. His usually playful expression vanished, replaced by something Goku had rarely seen on the angel's face, concern. Beerus noticed immediately and halted his attack, letting Goku's punch pass harmlessly by his ear. What is it, Whis? Beerus demanded. Before Whis could answer, the sky above them cracked. There was no other way to describe it. A jagged line appeared in the fabric of reality itself, spreading like a fracture in glass. Goku felt a chill run down his spine as he stared up at it. That's not good, he muttered, instinctively dropping into a defensive stance. The crack widened, and from within it came a light so brilliant and strange that Goku had to shield his eyes. When he looked again, 3 figures descended from the rift, the Grand Priest himself, flanked by Zeno's attendants. Father, Whis said, bowing deeply. Beerus immediately prostrated himself. Grand Priest, this is an unexpected honor. Goku, as usual, was less formal. Hey! What brings you here? Is something wrong? The Grand Priest's ever-present smile revealed nothing as he floated down to their level. His eyes, however, lingered on Goku with an intensity that made even the battle-loving Scion uncomfortable. Son Goku, the Grand Priest said, his voice melodious yet somehow containing the power of 1,000 storms. I've been watching your progress. Goku scratched the back of his head. Really? I'm still working on mastering Ultra Instinct properly. Whis is a great teacher, though. The Grand Priest nodded slightly. Indeed, my son has taught you well. But I'm here for something far more significant than a progress report. He glanced at the sky, which still held a faint trace of the crack he'd emerged from. We have matters to discuss. All of us. Beerus rose from his bow, his ears twitching with concern. Grand Priest, has something happened with Lord Zeno? Zeno is well, but troubled, one of the attendants spoke up, their high voice carrying a rare note of worry. The Grand Priest raised his hand, and reality seemed to bend around them. A table with refreshments appeared, along with elegant chairs. Please, let us sit. What I have to share affects all the universes, not just the 7th. Goku's stomach growled loudly in the sudden silence, breaking the tension. He laughed and rubbed his belly. Sorry. All that sparring worked up an appetite. While Beerus glared at him, the Grand Priest actually chuckled. Some things never change. Please, eat while we talk, Son Goku. Needing no further invitation, Goku grabbed a plate and began piling it with food while everyone sat. Between bites, he noticed how the Grand Priest kept watching him, like he was solving some complex puzzle. As you may have noticed, the Grand Priest began, there have been irregularities in the fabric of the multiverse lately. Whis nodded. I've sensed disturbances, Father. Temporal fluctuations, spatial anomalies. I thought that was just Goku and the other Scions breaking things again, Beerus grumbled. The Grand Priest's smile faded slightly. If only it were so simple. These disturbances originate from beyond the boundaries of our 12 universes. From the void that exists between multiverses. Goku paused his eating. The void? You mean there's stuff outside our universes? Indeed, the Grand Priest confirmed. The multiverse as you know it, 12 universes arranged in a cosmic tree, is but one structure in an infinite expanse. Normally, the barriers between these structures are absolute, maintained by divine law and Zeno's power. Beerus leaned forward, his playful demeanor completely gone. And these barriers are weakening? Yes. Something is attempting to break through from outside, something ancient and powerful. The Grand Priest's eyes traveled to each of them before settling again on Goku. Which brings me to the reason for my visit. I require a successor. Whis nearly dropped his staff. Father? A successor? Beerus echoed in disbelief. The Grand Priest nodded solemnly. I have served as Grand Priest for eons, guiding the angels and maintaining cosmic order. But what comes will require a different approach. A different type of Grand Priest. Goku, mouth full of food, looked up in confusion. Why were you telling us this? The Grand Priest's gaze intensified. Because, son Goku, I have selected you as my candidate. Goku choked on his food, coughing violently while Beerus pounded on his back with enough force to shatter mountains. What? Beerus roared once Goku could breathe again. Him. A mortal? Whis stood frozen in shock, an expression Goku had never seen on the angel's face. You can't be serious, Goku finally managed, wiping his mouth. I'm just a fighter from Earth. I don't know anything about being whatever it is you do. Precisely, the Grand Priest said, his calm unchanged by their reactions. You are unlike any being I have encountered in my long existence, son Goku. You transcend the limitations of mortality through sheer will and an uncomplicated heart. You've achieved Ultra Instinct, a technique most gods of destruction never master. You've influenced Zeno himself, changed divine policy, and repeatedly saved not just your universe, but all of existence. Goku shook his head vigorously. But I just like fighting strong opponents. I don't want to give that up to sit around making rules and stuff. And that, the Grand Priest said with a curious tilt of his head, is exactly why it must be you. Before anyone could respond, the air several feet away began to shimmer and distort. Whis jumped to his feet, staff at the ready. Father, yes, I feel it too. The Grand Priest turned toward the disturbance. It seems our conversation has attracted attention. The shimmer expanded into a tear, smaller than the one the Grand Priest had created, but somehow darker, wronger. Goku felt the hairs on his arms stand up as something cold and ancient leaked through the rift. What is that? He asked, moving instinctively into a fighting stance. A scout, the Grand Priest answered. From the Void Emperor's forces. From the tear emerged a creature unlike anything Goku had seen before. It had a vaguely humanoid shape, but its body seemed composed of shifting darkness, with stars and galaxies visible. Within its form, like windows into distant space. Where its face should be, there was only a swirling vortex of energy. Beerus raised his hand, purple destruction energy gathering at his fingertips. I'll handle this intruder. Wait, the Grand Priest cautioned. Observe. The void creature turned slowly, its attention fixing on Goku. It made no sound, but Goku felt a pressure in his mind, like something trying to communicate. It's scanning me. Goku guessed, feeling the alien presence brushing against his consciousness. Without warning, the creature attacked, moving with impossible speed. Goku barely had time to cross his arms in defense before it slammed into him with force that would have pulverized planets. Goku skidded backward but remained standing. Not bad, he grinned, excitement building despite the circumstances. My turn. He launched forward, transforming instantly into Super Saiyan Blue. His fist connected with the creature's core, only to pass straight through its body as if striking smoke. Ha! Goku pulled back in confusion as his arm emerged from the other side of the creature's body. The void being rippled, reforming around the disturbance Goku had created. Then multiple tendrils of darkness shot out from its form, wrapping around Goku's limbs and torso. It absorbs energy, the Grand Priest observed calmly. Physical attacks won't work. Goku felt his strength draining where the tendrils touched him. He flared his ki, pushing into Kaioken, but that only seemed to make the creature grow larger and stronger. Then I'll just have to hit it harder. Goku declared, pushing to Kaioken X20. Fool, Beerus hissed. You're feeding it. Realizing his mistake, Goku stopped channeling energy. Instead, he closed his eyes, focusing inward. The silver glow of Ultra Instinct began to emanate from his body. The void creature recoiled, its tendrils retracting slightly. It doesn't like that, Goku noted, pushing deeper into the state. His hair shifted toward silver, his movements becoming more fluid and precise. He moved, not with explosive power but with perfect efficiency, slipping between the creature's tendrils. His hand, glowing with divine energy, struck at the center of the void being. This time, the creature reacted violently, a silent scream emanating from it as Goku's hand connected. The starry darkness within it began to collapse inward. Finish it, the Grand Priest instructed. Goku focused his Ultra Instinct energy into a single point and pushed. The void creature imploded, collapsing into a tiny singularity before vanishing completely. As the silver glow faded from Goku's form, he turned back to the Grand Priest. What was that thing? A fragment of the Void Emperor's consciousness, a scout sent to investigate the divine energy it sensed. The Grand Priest looked genuinely concerned now. They shouldn't be able to penetrate this far yet. The situation is deteriorating faster than anticipated. Whis stepped forward. Father, you mentioned this Void Emperor, I've never heard of such an entity. The Grand Priest nodded. Few have. The knowledge was sealed away along with the Emperor himself, long before any of you were created. He was once, like us. But he chose a different path, believing that divine hierarchy was a mistake. Goku crossed his arms. So he's just someone who disagrees with the way things are run? Why not talk to him? The Grand Priest's expression darkened slightly. If only it were so simple. The Void Emperor doesn't wish to change the system, Son Goku. He wishes to return all existence to primordial chaos, to erase the boundaries between universes and the very concepts of life and death. Beerus growled. Sounds like my job, but with less style. Destruction is part of the natural order, the Grand Priest corrected. What the Emperor seeks is the absence of order entirely. A heavy silence fell over the group. Goku frowned, trying to process everything. And you think I should become the next Grand Priest to stop him? I don't get it. Wouldn't you want someone who knows about all this divine stuff? Knowledge can be taught, the Grand Priest replied. What you possess cannot be, an unbreakable will, a pure heart, and the ability to surpass your limitations. The coming conflict will require thinking beyond traditional divine law. Goku shook his head firmly. I'm sorry, but I can't. I've got my family on Earth, my training, my friends. I can't just leave all that to become some cosmic overseer. The Grand Priest didn't seem surprised by his refusal. I understand your reluctance. Perhaps you need to see what's truly at stake. He raised his hand, creating a glowing sphere of energy. Within it appeared images of Earth, Goku's home, his family, the cities and wilderness he'd protected for years. The void creatures will not stop with that scout. They will continue breaking through, in greater numbers and with greater power. No world will be spared, especially not those connected to beings of significant divine energy. As if on cue, the sphere showed a new image, a dark tear forming in the sky above Capsule Corp, where Bulma, Vegeta, and many of the Z fighters were gathered for what looked like a celebration. That's happening now? Goku demanded, alarm shooting through him. The Grand Priest nodded. The first major incursion. Even as we speak. Goku didn't hesitate. I need to go there. Now. I'll take you, Whis offered immediately. The Grand Priest held up a hand. A moment, Whis. Son Goku, I will not force this role upon you. But know this, what you face now is merely the beginning. The question is not whether you will fight, but how effectively you can protect everything you care about. Goku met the Grand Priest's gaze. I've always protected Earth and my friends. I'll find a way to beat these void things too. Very well. Let us go to Earth, then. Perhaps seeing will help you understand. With a gesture from the Grand Priest, reality shifted around them, and suddenly they stood in the yard of Capsule Corporation. The scene that greeted them was chaos. A massive tear, larger than the one on Beerus's planet, had opened in the sky above. Dark tendrils were reaching down toward the ground, and multiple void creatures had already emerged, their starry bodies gliding toward the panicked crowd below. Vegeta stood at the forefront, already in his Super Saiyan Blue form, firing blasts at the creatures that seemed to simply absorb the energy. Kakarot. Vegeta shouted upon seeing them appear. What the hell are these things? They feed on energy. Goku called back, immediately assessing the situation. Don't use ki blasts. Bulma was coordinating people inside a protective dome she must have activated from Capsule Corp's defense systems. Gohan and Piccolo were evacuating the remaining guests, while Krillin, 18, and the others formed a defensive perimeter. A void creature swooped toward Goten and Trunks, who were trying to protect some of the younger children. Goku moved instantly, appearing between the boys and the creature. Dad! Goten exclaimed. Get the kids to safety, Goku ordered, his voice unusually serious. These things absorb energy attacks, so no blasting. As the void creature lunged at him, Goku slipped into the calm state of Ultra Instinct, not fully transforming but channeling enough of its power to make his movements precise and efficient. He struck at the creature's core, just as he had on Beerus's planet. The void being recoiled but didn't collapse like the first one. It was stronger, more substantial. Two more joined it, surrounding Goku in a triangle formation. They're adapting, the Grand Priest observed from nearby, making no move to intervene. Vegeta appeared at Goku's side, breathing heavily. What are these abominations, Kakarot? Apparently they're scouts from something called the Void Emperor, Goku explained quickly. Physical attacks barely work, and they just eat our energy. Vegeta scoffed. Then we'll have to get creative. He glanced at the Grand Priest. And why is he here? Long story, Goku replied as the void creatures closed in. I'll explain later. For now, back to back. They positioned themselves defensively as more void creatures poured through the rift. Across the yard, Gohan was protecting Pan and Videl, his mystic energy flaring as he fended off attacks. Gohan. Ultra Instinct energy hurts them. Goku called out. Gohan nodded, focusing his unique energy into a more divine state. He managed to repel the creatures attacking his family, but more kept coming. There's too many. Krillin shouted from where he fought alongside 18. Goku knew he was right. For every creature they managed to disperse, two more emerged from the rift. And the tier itself was growing larger by the minute. We need to close that rift, Goku said, looking up at the sky. Otherwise they'll just keep coming. Beerus, who had arrived with them, stepped forward. Stand back. I'll destroy it. No, the Grand Priest countermanded sharply. Destruction energy will only widen the tear. This requires a different approach. Goku looked at the Grand Priest. Then what do we do? Watch, the Grand Priest said simply. He floated upward until he hovered directly beneath the rift. Raising both hands, he began channeling energy unlike anything Goku had seen before, not destructive or creative, but something that seemed to exist between all forms of power, a perfect balance. The Grand Priest's hands moved in intricate patterns, weaving the energy into complex sigils that glowed with blinding light. As he worked, the edges of the rift began to draw inward, the tear slowly closing. The void creatures seemed to sense what was happening and abandoned their individual battles, rushing toward the Grand Priest in a unified swarm. Protect him! Goku shouted, launching himself upward. He, Vegeta, Gohan, and Beerus formed a defensive ring around the Grand Priest, intercepting the void creatures that tried to interrupt the closing ritual. Goku pushed deeper into Ultra Instinct, his hair and eyes shifting to silver as he moved with divine precision, striking at the creatures' cores. Below, Piccolo, Krillin, 18, and the others dealt with the creatures that had already broken through, protecting the civilians. With a final gesture, the Grand Priest completed his work. The rift collapsed in on itself with a sound like reality sighing, the last of the void creatures either pulled back through or destroyed in the process. As Goku floated back to the ground, his Ultra Instinct fading, he saw the toll the battle had taken. While no one appeared seriously injured, Capsule Corp's grounds were devastated. More concerning was the look on Gohan's face as he approached, carrying Pan. Dad, one of those things almost got Pan, Gohan said, his voice shaking with a mixture of fear and anger. If I hadn't reached her in time. Goku's heart sank as he looked at his granddaughter's frightened face. Is she okay? I'm scared, Grandpa, Pan whispered. The stars tried to eat me. Goku gently placed a hand on her head. It's okay, Pan. They're gone now. But they'll be back, the Grand Priest said, joining them. And in greater numbers, with greater purpose. This was merely a scouting party, drawn to the concentration of divine energy here. Vegeta, still catching his breath, glared at the Grand Priest. You know what these things are. Explain. Now. As the group gathered around, the Grand Priest repeated what he had told Goku earlier, about the Void Emperor, the weakening barriers between multiverses, and the threat to all existence. And you want Kakarot to become your replacement? Vegeta asked incredulously when the explanation was complete. That's absurd. The idiot can barely remember to bathe regularly. Hey! Goku protested. It's true, though, Bulma interjected, having joined them with the other Z fighters. Goku's a great fighter, but Cosmic Administrator? That's not exactly playing to his strengths. The Grand Priest smiled slightly. You misunderstand. I don't seek an administrator. The multiverse has plenty of those. I seek a protector, a warrior with the heart and will to stand against the void, someone who understands the value of life in all its forms, not just as an abstract concept. But why Dad? Gohan asked, still holding Pan protectively. Because he has done what no mortal should be capable of, the Grand Priest replied. He has touched divinity while remaining true to his mortal heart. That combination is precisely what will be needed in the coming conflict. A heavy silence fell over the group. Goku stared at the ground, his mind racing. Part of him wanted to refuse again, to say this wasn't his problem, that someone else should handle it. But the image of Pan's frightened face, the knowledge that these attacks would continue, targeting his loved ones. I need time to think, he finally said. The Grand Priest nodded. Of course. But not too much time, I'm afraid. The barriers continue to weaken. I will return in 3 days for your answer. He looked around at the gathered fighters. In the meantime, I suggest you prepare. The void creatures will return, drawn to concentrations of divine energy. Anyone who has touched godhood is a target. With those ominous words, the Grand Priest, Whis, and Beerus departed, leaving Goku with his friends and family, and an impossible decision. Later that night, Goku sat cross-legged on the roof of his modest mountain home, staring up at the stars. They seemed different now, knowing what lurked beyond them. Inside, Chi-Chi, Gohan, Videl, Pan, and Goten were sleeping, having exhausted themselves discussing the day's events. He sensed rather than heard Piccolo's approach, the Namekian's flight silent in the night air. Couldn't sleep either? Goku asked without turning around. Piccolo landed softly on the roof beside him. Hard to rest when the fabric of reality is tearing apart. Yeah. Goku sighed, leaning back on his hands. Some mess, huh? Piccolo sat down, his cape settling around him. I've been thinking about what the Grand Priest said. About you being chosen as his successor. It's crazy, right? Me, the Grand Priest. Goku chuckled, but the sound held little humor. Is it? Piccolo crossed his arms. You've surpassed every limitation, broken every ceiling. You befriended the god of destruction, impressed Zeno himself. Maybe it's not so strange. Goku looked at his old enemy-turned-friend with surprise. You think I should do it? I think, Piccolo said carefully, that you should consider what happens if you don't. Today was just the beginning. If these void creatures return in force, targeting anyone with divine energy. He didn't finish the thought. Gohan, Vegeta, the kids who've used God Ki, Goku filled in. They'd all be targets. Piccolo nodded. And the Earth has always been a nexus of cosmic power, drawing threats like a magnet. Without someone who understands both sides, mortal and divine, I'm not sure there's a path to victory. Goku pulled up a blade of grass from the roof, twirling it between his fingers. But if I become Grand Priest, I'd have to leave everything behind. My family, Earth, fighting for fun. I'd be stuck overseeing the multiverse or whatever. Perhaps, Piccolo agreed. Or perhaps you change what it means to be Grand Priest, just like you've changed everything else you've touched. He stood, preparing to leave. Just something to consider. As Piccolo flew off into the night, Goku lay back on the roof, mind still churning. Change what it means to be Grand Priest. Was that even possible? A familiar energy signature approaching pulled him from his thoughts. Vegeta landed on the roof with considerably less grace than Piccolo had, his expression stormy. Kakarot, he growled in greeting. Hey, Vegeta. Goku sat up. Come to yell at me? Among other things. Vegeta remained standing, arms crossed tightly over his chest. You're actually considering this nonsense, aren't you? Goku shrugged. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. You can't possibly be qualified for such a position. You're a Saiyan warrior, not some divine administrator. That's pretty much what I told the Grand Priest, Goku agreed. Vegeta paced across the roof, agitation in every movement. Do you understand what this would mean? You would ascend beyond mortal status. You would no longer be a Saiyan. His voice dropped lower. Our rivalry would end. Ah, Goku thought. So that's what this is really about. Is that why you're upset? Because if I become Grand Priest, you can't beat me anymore. Don't be absurd. Vegeta snapped, but the slight flush on his face told Goku he'd hit close to home. I'm concerned about the natural order of things. A mortal becoming Grand Priest. It's unprecedented. Goku stood, stretching his arms above his head. You know, Vegeta, for someone who hated being ordered around by Frieza, you sure care a lot about proper order these days. That struck a nerve. Vegeta's aura flared briefly before he got it under control. This isn't about Frieza or my past. This is about you potentially making a massive mistake that affects everyone. Including you, Goku pointed out. Yes, including me. Vegeta finally exploded. We are the last true Saiyans, Goku wrote. Our rivalry has pushed us both to heights no Saiyan in history has reached. If you ascend to divinity, what becomes of that legacy? What becomes of our race's future? Goku hadn't considered that aspect. He and Vegeta were the last full-blooded Saiyans, the living embodiment of their people's warrior spirit. If he became something else, something beyond Saiyan. I don't know, he admitted honestly. But I do know those void things will keep coming, and they'll target everyone with God Ki, which includes you, Vegeta. And Bulma and Trunks would be in danger too. Vegeta fell silent, his internal struggle visible on his face. If you were in my position, Goku asked quietly, what would you do? The prince closed his eyes for a moment. When he opened them, some of the anger had faded. I would do whatever it took to protect my family and my pride. Even if it meant sacrifice. They stood in silence for a while, two Saiyans contemplating forces beyond mortal comprehension. If, and I mean if, I decided to do this, Goku finally said, would you protect Earth while I'm gone? Watch over Chi-Chi and the boys. Vegeta scoffed. You even need to ask. Of course I would. His expression softened marginally. Your family would not lack for protection, Goku wrote. Goku smiled. Thanks, Vegeta. Don't thank me yet, Vegeta warned. I still think this is madness. But if those void creatures return. He trailed off, uncharacteristically uncertain. We'll figure something out, Goku assured him. We always do. Vegeta nodded once, then launched himself into the night sky without another word, leaving Goku alone with his thoughts once more. The next morning, Goku gathered everyone at Capsule Corp for a council of war. If he only had 3 days to decide, he needed as much information as possible. Bulma had converted one of her labs into a command center of sorts, with monitors tracking unusual energy readings around the globe. Around the central table stood the core defenders of Earth, the Z fighters, their families, and a few key allies. Alright, Bulma began, pulling up a holographic display. I've been analyzing the residual energy from yesterday's attack. These void creatures leave behind a unique signature that I can now track. Look at this. The display showed a map of Earth with dozens of small, pulsing dots. Each dot represents a microtear in reality, too small for creatures to come through, but growing. She zoomed out to show the solar system. And it's not just Earth. These tears are appearing throughout our universe, particularly near places with high concentrations of divine energy. Like where the god of destruction has visited, Piccolo noted. Bulma nodded. Exactly. The sacred world of the Kais is lit up like a Christmas tree, as are several planets Beerus has recently visited. What about other universes? Gohan asked. Are they experiencing the same thing? I can't track them directly, Bulma admitted, but based on the pattern of distribution, I'd say yes. Goku frowned at the display. So it's everywhere, and getting worse. Exponentially worse, Bulma confirmed. At the current rate of growth, I estimate we'll see major incursions like yesterday's happening daily within a week, hourly within a month. A somber silence fell over the room. So what do we do? Krillin finally asked. These things absorb energy attacks, and there are too many tiers to guard them all. We need to close the tiers permanently, Piccolo said. Not just fight whatever comes through them. All eyes turned to Goku. He shifted uncomfortably under their collective gaze. I don't know if becoming Grand Priest is the answer, he said honestly. But I'm gonna talk to some people who might know more. King Kai, Elder Kai, maybe even Zeno if I can get to him. And if they say it is the answer? Chi-Chi asked quietly. It was the first time she'd spoken during the meeting. Goku met his wife's eyes. They'd talked late into the night after Vegeta left, Chi-Chi cycling through tears, anger, and finally a resigned understanding. Then I'll have to seriously consider it, he answered. In the meantime, Vegeta interjected, we need to prepare for more attacks. Bulma, can you create some kind of barrier against these tears? Bulma tapped her chin thoughtfully. Maybe. If I can isolate the exact frequency of the void energy, I might be able to develop a repulsion field. But it would only protect limited areas. Start with population centers, Piccolo suggested. And places where our families stay. Bulma nodded. I'll need help. Gohan, your understanding of both key manipulation and scientific principles would be useful. I'm in, Gohan agreed immediately. The rest of us should form response teams, 18 suggested. Groups that can respond quickly to any new incursions. Good idea, Goku agreed. Vegeta, can you coordinate that? Put together teams with complementary abilities. Vegeta nodded curtly, his expression serious. I'll have a rotation schedule by tonight. What about us kids? Trunks asked from where he stood with Goten. We want to help too. Goku looked at the two boys, nearly young men now. You two are actually perfect for reconnaissance. With fusion, you can cover a lot of ground quickly and safely check out minor disturbances without engaging. The boys perked up at being given a real responsibility rather than being sidelined. As the planning continued, Goku found himself pulling back slightly, watching his friends and family mobilize against this new threat. They were incredible, each contributing their unique skills and perspectives. Earth had faced countless dangers before, but this time felt different. This wasn't just another powerful enemy to overcome, it was a fundamental threat to reality itself. And according to the Grand Priest, only Goku could ultimately stop it. That afternoon, Goku used instant transmission to visit King Kai on his small planet in the other world. The blue deity was watering his flowers when Goku appeared. Goku! King Kai jumped in surprise, spilling water on his shoes. Don't just pop in like that. My heart can't take it. Sorry, King Kai, Goku apologized with a grin. But I really need to talk to you. It's important. Seeing Goku's unusually serious expression, King Kai set down his watering can. This is about the Grand Priest's offer, isn't it? Word travels fast in the divine realms. Yeah, Goku confirmed, sitting cross-legged on the grass. I need advice from someone I trust. What do you know about this Void Emperor? Is he really as dangerous as the Grand Priest says? King Kai's antennae twitched nervously. I don't know much, Goku. Most of that knowledge is restricted to the highest levels of the divine hierarchy. But I can tell you this, if the Grand Priest himself is concerned, then we all should be. But why me? Goku pressed. There must be better candidates. Angels, other deities, someone who actually knows about cosmic administration. King Kai adjusted his sunglasses thoughtfully. The Grand Priest doesn't make decisions lightly, Goku. If he chose you, there must be something specific about you that's needed. That's what he said too. Goku plucked a blade of grass, fidgeting with it. But I don't want to leave my family, King Kai. I don't want to stop being, me. Who says you would? King Kai countered. You've taken on every role and challenge in your own unique way. When you became Earth's protector, did you stop being Goku? When you achieved godhood, did you fundamentally change who you are? No, but this is different. Being Grand Priest is a full-time job, isn't it? I'd have to live in that celestial realm place, oversee the angels, maintain cosmic balance, whatever that means. King Kai chuckled. You're assuming the role would be exactly the same for you as it has been for the current Grand Priest. But maybe that's exactly why you've been chosen, to redefine what the position can be. Goku considered this. You think I could change it? Make it work for me somehow? If anyone could, it would be you, Goku. You've never played by the rules. Why start now? That brought a small smile to Goku's face. I guess that's true. King Kai's expression grew more serious. But I should warn you, whatever the Grand Priest says about this Void Emperor, it's likely only part of the story. The highest divine beings operate on levels of complexity that even other gods struggle to comprehend. You think he's not telling me everything? Goku asked with a frown. I'm certain of it, King Kai confirmed. Not necessarily out of malice, but because some knowledge is dangerous or incomprehensible to beings at our level. Goku stood, his mind made up. Then I need to talk to someone even higher up. Thanks, King Kai. Wait, Goku. What are you planning to? But Goku had already pressed 2 fingers to his forehead and vanished. Goku reappeared in the sacred world of the Kais, where Elder Kai and Shin were in the middle of what appeared to be a heated discussion about the recent disturbances. Goku! Shin exclaimed, looking relieved at the interruption. We were just talking about you. About me becoming Grand Priest? Goku guessed. Elder Kai harumphed and crossed his arms. A mortal ascending to such a position. Unprecedented. Dangerous. So you don't think I should do it? Goku asked. I didn't say that, Elder Kai retorted. I said it's unprecedented and dangerous. But then again, so is the current situation. Shin nodded in agreement. The barriers between realities are weakening at an alarming rate. Just this morning, we had to seal 3 tiers that appeared on sacred ground. Then you believe the Grand Priest about this Void Emperor? Goku pressed. The 2 Kais exchanged a look that Goku couldn't quite interpret. We believe the threat is real, Shin said carefully. As for the specific details, there are aspects of cosmic history that even we Supreme Kais are not privy to, Elder Kai finished. The relationship between Zeno, the Grand Priest, and this Void Emperor is complicated. Goku frowned. King Kai said something similar. That I'm not getting the full story. You're almost certainly not, Elder Kai confirmed. But that doesn't mean the Grand Priest is being deliberately deceptive. Some truths are simply too vast for minds that haven't evolved to comprehend them. Well, I'm gonna find out for myself, Goku declared. I need to see Zeno. Both Kais blanched. Zeno, they exclaimed in unison. That's extremely dangerous, Goku, Shin cautioned. Especially now, with Zeno unsettled by these disturbances. I have to try, Goku insisted. If I'm going to make this decision, I need to know what I'm really getting into. Elder Kai sighed deeply. Your stubbornness will be the death of us all one day. But I suppose if anyone can speak directly to Zeno without causing a cosmic incident, it's you. Thanks for the vote of confidence, Goku said with a grin. Oh, and one more thing, what would happen to me if I did become Grand Priest? Would I still be, me? The Kais exchanged another look. Physically, you would transcend your mortal limitations, Shin explained. Your consciousness would expand to perceive all 12 universes simultaneously. Your very essence would change. But your core, what makes you Goku, Elder Kai added, that would remain, I think. Though it might express differently with a broader perspective. Goku nodded slowly, absorbing this. Thanks. That helps. Goku, Shin called as he prepared to leave. Whatever you decide, know that we support you. Earth's defenders have saved the cosmos more than once. We trust your judgment. With a grateful nod, Goku concentrated on Zeno's energy signature, faint and strange, but recognizable, and disappeared. Appearing in Zeno's palace was always disorienting. The realm existed partly outside normal spacetime, giving everything a slightly off-kilter feel. Goku materialized in the main hall to find the 2 Zenas playing some incomprehensible game with glowing orbs that might have been miniature universes. Goku, they exclaimed in childish delight, abandoning their game to float over to him. Hey, Zenas! Goku greeted them with a wave. Sorry to drop in without warning. We like surprises, the Zenas said in unison, circling around him curiously. The Grand Minister appeared almost instantly, his perpetual smile tightening slightly at seeing Goku. Son Goku. This is an unexpected visit. Yeah, sorry about that. Goku rubbed the back of his head. I just need to ask Zeno something important. About the Void Emperor. The atmosphere in the hall changed instantly. The Zenas stopped their playful circling, their expressions becoming uncharacteristically serious. The Grand Priest's smile disappeared entirely. So you've been discussing things with him, the Grand Priest said to Goku, his tone neutral but his eyes sharp. Just trying to understand what I might be getting myself into, Goku replied honestly. To his surprise, the Zenas floated closer, their large eyes studying him intently. You're going to be the new Grand Priest? One asked. Maybe, Goku answered. That's why I'm here. I want to know more about what's really happening. About the Void Emperor and why he's trying to break through now. The Zenas looked at each other, then at the Grand Priest, who gave a subtle nod. He was our friend, the first Zeno said simply. A long time ago, the second added. Goku blinked in surprise. Your friend? But I thought he wanted to destroy everything. Not destroy, the Grand Priest corrected gently. Transform. Return to an earlier state of existence. Before the divine hierarchy was established. The Zenas nodded in unison. Before rules, one said. Before separation, the other added. Before us, they finished together, looking unusually melancholy. Goku looked between them and the Grand Priest, confusion evident on his face. I don't understand. The Grand Priest sighed. It's difficult to explain in terms a mortal mind can grasp, but I'll try. Before the multiverse as you know it, existence was undifferentiated. Potential without form. From this primordial state emerged the first entities, Zeno, myself, and the one you now know as the Void Emperor. We were, in essence, siblings born from the same cosmic thought. Whoa, Goku breathed. So you're all related? In a sense far beyond biological kinship, yes. The Grand Priest's expression grew distant with memory. As awareness coalesced, decisions had to be made about the nature of existence. Zeno chose creation through division, separating what was once unified into distinct universes, each with their own laws and hierarchies. I chose to serve this vision, to maintain the boundaries and systems that allow discrete existence to flourish. And the Void Emperor chose differently, Goku guessed. Yes. He believed that separation was a mistake, that all should remain in unified potential. When he could not persuade us, he attempted to force reversion. The conflict nearly destroyed what had been created. So you sealed him away, Goku concluded. The Grand Priest nodded. At great cost. A portion of Zeno's power was permanently expended in the process. The memory of that conflict is why Zeno is sometimes capricious in his decisions regarding universes. The fear of returning to that state of war never fully fades. Goku turned to the Zenas, who were uncharacteristically quiet. Is that true? You're afraid of him coming back? The Zenas looked at each other, then nodded slowly. He was strong, one said. Very strong, the other added. But also sad, the first continued. Very sad, the second echoed. He missed the before time, they said together. Goku considered this new information carefully. So this isn't just about stopping a bad guy. It's about resolving some kind of cosmic family dispute. The Grand Priest's lips quirked in a small smile. A simplification, but not entirely inaccurate. Which is precisely why I believe you are the right candidate, son Goku. You understand conflict, yes, but you also understand reconciliation. You've turned enemies into allies throughout your life. You see beyond the immediate battle to the potential for change. But if this Void Emperor is as powerful as you say, how could I possibly stand against him? I'm just a scion. You are far more than just a scion, as your history has repeatedly demonstrated. The Grand Priest's gaze was penetrating. And as Grand Priest, you would be more still. My power would become yours, along with the accumulated knowledge of eons. You would become a being capable of facing the Void Emperor as an equal, perhaps the only being who could do so with a fresh perspective, unburdened by the ancient grievances that cloud our judgment. Goku fell silent, processing everything. The stakes were higher than he'd imagined, the conflict older and more personal. This wasn't just about protecting Earth or even the multiverse, it was about determining the fundamental nature of existence itself. I need to think about this, he finally said. I need to talk to my family. The Grand Priest nodded. Of course. But remember, son Goku, time grows short. The seals are failing rapidly now. Within days, the Void Emperor will have enough connection to our reality to begin exerting his will directly. I understand, Goku said solemnly. I'll give you my answer tomorrow. As he prepared to use instant transmission to return home, one of the Zeniths floated up to him and tugged on his GI. Goku, the small deity said quietly, if you become Grand Priest, will you still play with us sometimes? Despite the gravity of the situation, Goku couldn't help but smile. Sure I will. I promise. Both Zeniths brightened considerably at that. Yay! Goku Grand Priest will be fun. With a final wave, Goku disappeared, leaving the rulers of the multiverse behind. He had one more stop to make before returning home, one more perspective he needed to hear. Goku reappeared on Beerus's planet, where he found the god of destruction napping beneath a tree while Whis tended to his staff, a troubled expression on the angel's face. Goku, Whis greeted him without looking up. I sensed you would come. Hey, Whis. Goku approached, careful not to wake Beerus. Got a minute to talk? For this conversation? Certainly. Whis set his staff aside and stood. Let's walk. Lord Beerus is particularly grouchy when woken from stress napping. They strolled among the strange trees of Beerus's world, the artificial sun casting long shadows across the landscape. I've been to see King Kai, the Supreme Kais, and even Zeno, Goku said after a moment. I'm trying to understand what I'd be getting into if I accepted your father's offer. Whis nodded. A wise approach. And what have you learned? That there's a whole lot I don't know. Goku frowned. This Void Emperor, he's like family to Zeno and your father? In a manner of speaking, Whis confirmed. Though the concepts of family, as mortals understand them, don't quite apply. They were the first consciousnesses to emerge from primordial existence. And now they're fighting over how reality should be structured, Goku summarized. But what I don't get is, why me? Why now? The Void Emperor has been sealed away for, well, forever, right? What changed? Whis was silent for several steps. When he spoke, his voice was uncharacteristically solemn. My father has not shared his full reasoning with me. But I have my suspicions. The multiverse is changing, Goku. The boundaries between mortal and divine have grown increasingly permeable. Mortals achieving godlike power, gods forming attachments to mortals. He glanced significantly at Goku. Perhaps the time for a new approach has come naturally. But why would your father want to step down? Is he tired of the job? The Grand Priest doesn't experience fatigue as you would understand it, Whis explained. But even eternal beings can recognize when a paradigm shift is necessary. The conflict with the Void Emperor ended in stalemate last time, a seal rather than a resolution. Perhaps my father believes a different perspective is needed to finally resolve what began at the dawn of creation. Goku kicked at a small stone, sending it skipping across the path. I'm not sure I'm qualified for this, Whis. I'm a fighter, not a cosmic mediator or whatever. Aren't you, though? Whis countered with a raised eyebrow. How many former enemies now count you as a friend? Piccolo, Vegeta, even Lord Beerus to an extent. You have a remarkable talent for finding common ground with opponents, for seeing beyond the immediate conflict. That's different. Those were just people I fought, not primordial beings trying to unmake reality. The scale is different, Whis conceded, but perhaps the principle remains the same. They walked in silence for a while, Goku deep in thought. If I did accept, he finally asked, would I still be me? Or would I become something else entirely? Whis considered the question carefully. You would be transformed, certainly. No mortal can contain the power and perspective of the Grand Priest without fundamental change. But the essence of who you are, your values, your heart, your core identity, that would remain. It might even be why you were chosen. And what about you? How do you feel about all this? He's your father, after all. Whis smiled, a hint of sadness in his expression. Angels do not form attachments as mortals do, Goku. My relationship with my father is one of respect and duty, not emotional connection as you might understand it. But you've changed too, Goku pointed out. Living with Beerus, training us, being part of our battles, you care about things now in a way that's not just about duty. For once, Whis seemed taken aback. He blinked several times before responding. Perhaps you're right. Perhaps I too have been changed by the blurring of boundaries between mortal and divine. All the more reason why the cosmos might require a grand priest who understands both perspectives. They had circled back toward where Beerus still slept. Goku stopped, looking up at the strange sky of the god of destruction's realm. Thanks, Whis. I think I know what I need to do now. Whis nodded, a knowing glint in his eye. I suspected you might. Will you return tomorrow with your answer? Yeah. Goku's expression grew determined. But first, I need to talk to my family. This affects them more than anyone. Of course. Whis smiled. Family first, a very Goku approach to cosmic duty. Perhaps that's exactly what the multiverse needs right now. With a grin and a wave, Goku pressed 2 fingers to his forehead and vanished, leaving Whis to gaze thoughtfully at the spot where he had stood. Goku materialized in the yard of his mountain home just as the sun was setting. Through the window, he could see Chi-Chi preparing dinner, Goten setting the table, and Gohan and Videl playing with Pan. The scene squeezed his heart, his family, going about their normal evening, unaware of the cosmic forces that threatened their very existence. For a moment, he just watched them, burning the image into his memory. Then he took a deep breath and walked inside. I'm home, he called. Dad! Goten exclaimed, rushing over to hug him. Grandpa! Pan wiggled free from her parents and ran to Goku, who scooped her up with a laugh. Hey, Squirt! Have you been practicing your flying? Pan nodded enthusiastically. I can go super high now. Daddy gets nervous though. With good reason, Gohan said, joining them with a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. After yesterday's attack, we need to be careful. Chi-Chi wiped her hands on a towel and approached, studying Goku's face. You've made your decision, haven't you? The room fell silent as everyone turned to look at him. Goku set Pan down gently and nodded. Yeah. I think I have. Let's eat first, Chi-Chi said firmly. Whatever you've decided, we're not discussing it on empty stomachs. Dinner was a strangely normal affair. They talked about everyday things, Goten's school, Gohan's research, Pan's training progress. But beneath the conversation ran an undercurrent of tension, the unspoken knowledge that everything might soon change. After the meal, when Pan had been put to bed, the adults gathered in the living room. Goku looked around at their faces, his family, the people he had always fought to protect. I've decided to accept, he said simply. I'm going to become the next Grand Priest. No one looked surprised. Disappointed, concerned, but not surprised. Are you sure, Dad? Gohan asked. This isn't like your other adventures. From what you've told us, this is permanent. Goku nodded. I know. But after talking to everyone, King Kai, the Supreme Kais, even Zeno, I realize this isn't just another battle. This is about the future of everything. Not just Earth, not just our universe, but all of existence. And you have to be the one to save it? Chi-Chi asked, her voice tight with emotion. Always you. Goku moved to sit beside his wife, taking her hands in his. I don't know if I can save it, Chi-Chi, but I know I have to try. These void creatures are just the beginning. If the Void Emperor breaks through completely. We understand the stakes, Dad, Gohan said. We'll miss you. I'll miss you too. More than anything. Goku looked around at them. But I've been thinking about what this really means. The Grand Priest oversees all 12 universes, right? He can go anywhere, see anything. Who says I couldn't visit? Who says I couldn't change how things work? Change the rules of cosmic governance? Videl asked skeptically. Is that even possible? Goku grinned. I've never been good at following rules anyway. Why start now? That brought reluctant smiles to their faces. Kakarot's right. They all turned to see Vegeta standing in the doorway, arms crossed as usual. Vegeta. How long have you been there? Goku exclaimed. Long enough. The prince stepped into the room. I came to hear your decision, but I see you've already made it. Yeah, Goku confirmed. I'm going to do it. Vegeta nodded, his expression unreadable. It's the right choice. Coming from Vegeta, that meant something. Goku felt a weight lift from his shoulders. You really think so? Don't make me repeat myself, Vegeta growled. But yes. If these void creatures continue to multiply, none of us will be safe. And if anyone can become Grand Priest without turning into an insufferable, detached deity, it's you, Kakarot. From Vegeta, that was practically a ringing endorsement. Thank you, Goku said sincerely. And thank you for protecting everyone while I'm adjusting to the new role. Vegeta scoffed. As if I wouldn't. Chi-Chi wiped away a tear. So when will you go? Tomorrow, Goku answered. The Grand Priest will come for my answer, and then. I guess the training begins. Training? Goten perked up. You mean you don't just automatically become super powerful? Goku laughed. No, it doesn't work like that. I'll have to learn a lot, how to oversee 12 universes at once, how to maintain cosmic balance, how to use the Grand Priest's powers. It'll be the toughest training I've ever done. But you'll master it, Gohan said with certainty. You always do, Dad. And then you'll come visit? Pan's small voice came from the hallway. She stood in her pajamas, clearly having snuck out of bed to listen. Goku opened his arms, and Pan ran to him, climbing into his lap. You bet I will, Pan. I promise. I'll figure out a way to be both Grand Priest and your grandpa. Okay. Pan nodded against his chest. Okay. And you'll still teach me to be strong like you? The strongest, Goku promised, hugging her tight. Strong enough to protect everyone you love. As he held his granddaughter, surrounded by his family and his oldest rival turned friend, Goku felt a strange sense of peace settle over him. The decision that had seemed impossible now felt right. He would become the Grand Priest, but he would do it his way, the Goku way. And somehow, he'd find a path that allowed him to fulfill both his cosmic duty and his personal connections. After all, he'd never been good at following the rules of what was possible. The next morning dawned clear and bright. Goku stood in the yard of his mountain home, surrounded by his family and friends. Word had spread quickly of his decision, and everyone had gathered to see him off, the Z fighters, their families, even Mr. Satan and Bu. You sure about this, Goku? Krillin asked, concern evident in his voice. Goku nodded, his expression unusually serious. Yeah. It's the right thing to do. You're going to be awesome, Bulma said, giving him a quick hug. Just don't forget about us little mortals when you're running the multiverse. As if he could, Piccolo commented with a rare smile. One by one, they said their goodbyes. Some were tearful, others stoic, but all carried the weight of understanding that things would never be quite the same again. Chi-Chi was last. She stood before him, hands clasped tightly to stop their trembling. "You come back to visit," she said firmly. "I don't care what cosmic rules say. You find a way, son Goku." "I will," he promised, pulling her into a tight embrace. "You know me, I always find a way." A flash of light interrupted them as the Grand Priest appeared, hovering serenely above the ground. His perpetual smile seemed warmer today, more genuine. "Son Goku," he greeted. "I have come for your answer." Goku straightened, squaring his shoulders as he faced the most powerful being in the multiverse. "I accept. I'll become the next Grand Priest." The Grand Priest nodded, as if he had expected nothing less. "Very well. Are you prepared to begin your ascension?" "Just a second." Goku turned back to his gathered friends and family. "I'm not saying goodbye. This isn't the end, it's just a new beginning. I promise I'll find a way to come back, to still be part of your lives." "We know you will, Dad," Gohan said, arm around Vidal's shoulders. "Yeah, you always do the impossible," Goten added with a grin so like his father's. Vegeta stepped forward, extending his hand. "Don't embarrass yourself up there, Kakarot. Remember, you're still a Saiyan warrior, no matter what divine nonsense they try to teach you." Goku took the offered hand, gripping it firmly. "I won't forget. Take care of them, Vegeta." "Humph. As if you need to ask." With a final wave to everyone, Goku turned back to the Grand Priest. "I'm ready." The Grand Priest nodded, extending his hand. As Goku took it, a circle of brilliant light surrounded them, expanding outward in pulsing waves. "The path ahead will not be easy," the Grand Priest warned as energy began to swirl around them. "The transformation will test you in ways you cannot imagine. And the Void Emperor grows stronger by the hour. When have I ever backed down from a challenge?" Goku replied with his characteristic grin. The Grand Priest's smile widened. "Indeed. Perhaps that is why Zeno himself approved my choice." The light around them intensified. "Come, son Goku. Your training awaits in the celestial realm." As the light became blindingly bright, Goku took one last look at Earth, at the planet he had protected for so long, at the family and friends who had shaped his life. Then he turned his gaze upward, toward a new destiny that awaited beyond the boundaries of mortal comprehension. The next chapter of Son Goku's journey was about to begin. Not as a Saiyan warrior, not as Earth's protector, but as something entirely new, the next Grand Priest, bridge between mortal and divine, chosen to face the greatest threat the multiverse had ever known. With a final burst of light, they vanished, leaving behind a world that would never quite be the same, and a legacy that would soon extend beyond the boundaries of reality itself. Chapter 2, Divine Politics. The celestial realm hit Goku's senses like a tsunami. Colors he'd never seen before swirled through an endless expanse that somehow felt both infinite and intimate at the same time. Structures that defied physics floated in patterns that seemed random until you looked long enough to see the perfect mathematical harmony binding them together. The air, if you could call it that, hummed with energy so dense it felt like swimming through power itself. "Whoa," Goku breathed, his eyes struggling to process what they were seeing. "This is a lot." The Grand Priest glanced at him with amusement. "What you're experiencing is reality unfiltered by mortal perception. The celestial realm exists beyond the 12 universes, at the nexus point of all creation." Goku squinted as what looked like a constellation of stars drifted past, only to realize it was actually some kind of living entity. "Does everything here look so sparkly?" "You'll adjust," the Grand Priest assured him. "Your consciousness is already beginning to expand to accommodate your new perceptions." They floated, or perhaps moved in some way Goku couldn't quite define, toward an immense structure that resembled a palace, though its architecture seemed to shift and breathe with each passing moment. Pillars of light stretched upward into infinity, while fountains of what looked like liquid starlight cascaded in impossible directions. This is the Nexus, the Grand Priest explained. The center of divine governance from which all 12 universes are monitored and maintained. As they approached, Goku noticed figures waiting for them on what he assumed was some kind of central platform. 12 beings stood in a semicircle, each radiating power that made even Whis seem modest by comparison. Their forms were vaguely humanoid but with the same ethereal quality as the Grand Priest, pale blue skin, white hair, elaborate robes that shimmered with cosmic energy. The Divine Council, the Grand Priest announced. My direct subordinates who oversee specific domains of cosmic function. They will be your peers once your ascension is complete. Goku felt their collective gaze lock onto him, and he instantly recognized something familiar in their expressions, disapproval. It reminded him of how the other Scions had looked at him when he first refused to kill for Frieza. Hi everyone. I'm Goku. He waved cheerfully, deciding to tackle the tension head-on in his usual style. None of them returned the greeting. One figure stepped forward, taller than the others, with long silver hair and eyes that contained swirling galaxies. His face was angular, severe, and ancient beyond reckoning. This is the mortal. His voice resonated with a harmonic quality that made Goku's teeth vibrate. This is your chosen successor. Indeed, Azrael, the Grand Priest confirmed. Son Goku of Universe 7. Azrael, apparently the leader of this divine council, circled Goku slowly, examining him like a scientist might study an unusual specimen. He reeks of mortality. Of limitation. Of humanity. He spoke the last word as if describing a disease. Goku crossed his arms, unfazed. And you smell like someone who hasn't had a good fight in a few million years. Kinda stuffy. A shocked silence fell over the assembly. The Grand Priest coughed, though Goku could swear he caught the hint of a suppressed smile. Azrael's eyes narrowed to cosmic slits. You dare address the First Angel with such disrespect? First Angel, huh? Goku looked him up and down. That's cool. I'm the first Scion to achieve Ultra Instinct, so I guess we both like being first at stuff. Before Azrael could respond, another council member stepped forward, a female angel with short crimson hair and a more curious expression. He's certainly unusual, Grand Priest. I can see why he interests you. She turned to Goku with a slight bow. I am Seraphiel, Overseer of Cosmic Balance. Welcome to the Nexus. Thanks. Goku replied, glad that at least one of them wasn't looking at him like he was something stuck to the bottom of their celestial shoe. This is unprecedented, another council member spoke up, his form slightly more substantial than the others, with an emblem resembling a clock on his robes. A mortal ascending directly to Grand Priest. The Cosmic Order has protocols, hierarchies, which I am well aware of, Kranoa, the Grand Priest interrupted smoothly. As I have already explained, exceptional circumstances require exceptional measures. The Void Emperor's awakening changes everything. At the mention of the Void Emperor, a visible ripple of discomfort passed through the council. Goku noticed several of them exchange glances loaded with meaning he couldn't decipher. The mortal should at least be tested, Azrael insisted. Prove his worthiness before we invest him with any measure of divine authority. Oh man, a test. Goku perked up immediately. Like a fighting tournament? I'm definitely down for that. Azrael's expression somehow became even more disdainful. Of course the mortal thinks only of combat. How predictably limited. The Grand Priest raised a hand, silencing further comments. Son Goku will indeed be tested, but not in the manner you suggest, Azrael. His training begins immediately. The void incursions grow more numerous by the hour. We do not have the luxury of traditional protocols. As if to emphasize his point, a shimmering display appeared in the center of their gathering, a three-dimensional map of the 12 universes, each represented by a spinning orb. Throughout the map, small black fractures were visible, pulsing with ominous energy. The tears in reality have increased by 27% since yesterday, the Grand Priest noted. Universe 7 shows the highest concentration, but all are affected now. Goku stepped closer to the display, his expression growing serious as he spotted Earth in Universe 7's orb, surrounded by multiple dark fractures. My family, are they in danger? All existence is in danger, Kranoa replied gravely. But yes, Earth appears to be a focal point of void activity, likely due to the unusually high concentration of divine energy that has been channeled there over recent years. Mostly because of you, mortal, another council member added pointedly. Then I need to start training right away, Goku said, his carefree demeanor giving way to determination. What do I need to learn first? The Grand Priest nodded approvingly. Your initiative is commendable. We will begin with fundamental cosmic awareness, expanding your consciousness to perceive and monitor multiple universes simultaneously. Simultaneously? Goku blinked. You mean like, watching 12 TVs at once? Several council members scoffed, but Seraphil actually laughed, a sound like wind chimes in a cosmic breeze. An oversimplification, but not entirely inaccurate. You'll need to develop omnidirectional awareness beyond three-dimensional limitations. Sounds complicated, Goku admitted. But I'm a quick learner when I need to be. We shall see, Azrael said coldly. Council members, return to your duties. I will personally oversee the initial phase of the mortals' education. The way he said it made it sound more like torture. As the council dispersed, the Grand Priest placed a hand on Goku's shoulder. Azrael is the oldest of all angels, created before even the current multiverse structure. His perspective is traditional. But he is also the most knowledgeable in the fundamentals you must learn. Don't worry, Goku assured him with a grin. I've had plenty of grumpy teachers before. Vegeta makes this guy look friendly. The Grand Priest's expression turned serious. A word of caution, son Goku. The council is divided on many matters, including your selection. Watch and listen carefully. Not all will have your best interests at heart. With that cryptic warning, he departed, leaving Goku alone with Azrael, whose cosmic eyes bore into him with the intensity of colliding galaxies. Let us begin, mortal, the first angel said. And we shall see what you're truly made of. Goku crashed to his knees, gasping for breath as sweat poured down his face. Around him, the training chamber, if you could call an infinite void contained within a room a chamber, pulsed with residual energy from his failed attempt. Pathetic, Azrael pronounced from where he hovered, cross-legged, several feet above. 3 days of training and you still cannot maintain awareness of even 2 universes simultaneously. Cut me some slack, Goku panted, pushing himself back to his feet. This isn't like learning a new fighting technique. You're asking me to completely change how my brain works. Precisely. Which is why Immortal was a poor choice for Grand Priest. Azrael's expression remained impassive, but Goku could sense the satisfaction beneath it. Perhaps you should consider withdrawing before you embarrass yourself further. Instead of responding with frustration, Goku closed his eyes and took a deep breath. Getting angry wouldn't help, and besides, he'd faced tougher challenges than one stuck-up angel with a superiority complex. Let me try a different approach, he suggested, opening his eyes with renewed determination. Instead of trying to split my consciousness, what if I expand it? Like powering up, but for awareness instead of strength. Azrael raised an eyebrow. An interesting perspective. Proceed. Goku assumed a meditation pose he'd learned from King Kai years ago. Instead of focusing outward on the cosmic display Azrael had created, he turned his attention inward, to the core of his being where his energy originated. As he'd suspected, something new resided there alongside his familiar ki, a cool, crystalline power that must be the beginning of his divine transformation. He gently prodded at this new energy, coaxing it to flow through his consciousness rather than forcing it. To his surprise, it responded eagerly, expanding outward like water finding new channels. Whoa, Goku breathed as his awareness suddenly stretched beyond his physical form. First came Universe 7, his home, the energy patterns as familiar as his own heartbeat. He could sense Earth, feel the collective life force of his friends and family. Then, tentatively, he reached further and found Universe 6, recognizing compass. Distinctive energy signature and, nearby, Hit and the other fighters he'd faced in the tournament. I can see them, Goku said in wonder, his eyes still closed. Not just sense them, actually see them, like I'm right there. Interesting, Azrael murmured, and for the first time, Goku detected a note of something other than disdain in his voice, curiosity. You're approaching this from an entirely unconventional angle. Using your mortal connection to Ki as a foundation rather than discarding it. Encouraged, Goku pushed further, stretching his awareness to Universe 11, where Jiren was training, his immense power radiating like a beacon. Then Universe 2, 4, 9, each with its unique energy signature, its distinctive flavor of existence. It's like, they're all connected, Goku realized, his voice taking on a slightly ethereal quality as his consciousness expanded. Different expressions of the same fundamental reality. Yes, Azrael confirmed, moving closer. That is the first truth of cosmic governance, separation is illusion. All universes are aspects of a unified whole. Goku might have continued expanding his awareness even further, but a sudden spike of dark energy from Universe 7 snapped his attention back to Earth. His eyes flew open. Something's happening at home, he said, all other concerns forgotten. A void incursion, bigger than before. Azrael waved his hand, and a viewing portal appeared before them. Within it, they could see West City on Earth, where a massive tear had opened in the sky. Unlike the previous incursions, this rift pulsed with malevolent purpose, and the creatures emerging from it were larger, more substantial. Leading Earth's defense was Vegeta, already in his Super Saiyan Blue evolution form, directing the other Z fighters in a coordinated response. Bulma appeared to have deployed some kind of energy barrier around the city's perimeter, but it was visibly straining against the void creature's assault. I have to help them, Goku said, instinctively raising two fingers to his forehead. You cannot, Azrael stated flatly. Your body remains in transition between mortal and divine states. Attempting to physically transport yourself now would result in your consciousness being scattered across multiple dimensions. But they need me. Goku protested, watching as Gohan and Piccolo barely deflected an attack aimed at a group of civilians. What they need is a Grand Priest capable of addressing the source of these incursions, not another fighter on the ground. Azrael's tone was harsh but not entirely unsympathetic. This is your first lesson in cosmic perspective, mortal. Individual battles are meaningless if the war is lost. Goku clenched his fists, frustration building. But as he watched, he saw something that made him pause. Vegeta was fighting differently. Instead of relying on energy attacks that the void creatures would absorb, he was using precise physical strikes combined with carefully controlled Hakai energy, a technique he must have been developing with Beerus. And it was working. The void creatures recoiled from the energy of destruction, their forms destabilizing where it touched them. They're figuring it out, Goku realized, a proud smile spreading across his face. Vegeta's using Hakai energy, destruction power cancels out void energy. An effective stopgap measure, Azrael conceded. But insufficient against the true threat that approaches. As the battle on Earth continued, Goku reluctantly turned his attention back to his training. Azrael was right about one thing. The best way for him to help everyone was to master his new role as quickly as possible. With renewed determination, he closed his eyes again, this time stretching his awareness across all 12 universes simultaneously. The effort was immense, like trying to bench press a planet. Sweat beaded on his forehead and his muscles trembled from strain that was spiritual rather than physical. But something had changed, seeing his friends in danger had unlocked a new level of motivation, a desperate need to succeed. All 12, he gasped after several minutes of intense concentration. I can see, all 12 universes. When he opened his eyes, he found Azrael studying him with an unreadable expression. "You accomplished in 3 days what typically takes centuries," the first angel said quietly. "Perhaps there is more to you than I initially perceived, son Goku." Before Goku could respond, the chamber door opened to admit Seraphiel, the red-haired council member who had been friendly during their first meeting. "Impressive progress," she noted, having obviously been monitoring his training. "The Grand Priest will be pleased." "How's Earth?" Goku immediately asked. "Are my friends okay?" Seraphiel waved her hand, expanding the viewing portal to show the aftermath of the battle. The void rift had been sealed, not perfectly, but enough to stop the immediate incursion. Vegeta stood amid the devastation, breathing heavily but victorious, while Bulma directed recovery efforts with her typical efficiency. "They are resilient, your mortals," Seraphiel observed. "Especially the Saiyan Prince. His application of Hakai energy was innovative." "That's Vegeta for you," Goku said proudly. "Always figuring out new ways to get stronger." "You've done enough for today," Azrael decided, dismissing the viewing portal with a gesture. "Rest and prepare. Tomorrow we begin the second phase of your training, manipulating divine energy to maintain cosmic balance." As the first angel departed, Seraphiel lingered, waiting until they were alone before speaking. "A word of advice, son Goku," she said, her voice dropping to a near whisper. "Azrael may be the first angel, but his views on mortals are extreme. Be cautious in what you reveal to him about your true capabilities." Goku blinked in surprise. "You're saying I should hold back?" "Why?" "The council is not as unified as it appears," Seraphiel replied cryptically. "Some welcome change, others fear it. And some." She glanced toward the door Azrael had exited through. "Some have their own agendas. The Grand Priest warned me about something similar," Goku recalled. "But I'm not really good at political stuff. I just want to learn what I need to stop these void incursions and protect everyone." Seraphiel's expression softened. "Your straightforwardness is refreshing, and perhaps exactly what the celestial realm needs after eons of subtle maneuvering. Just remember, not everyone shares the Grand Priest's vision for your role here." With that enigmatic warning, she too departed, leaving Goku alone with his thoughts. He sank down onto the floor, exhaustion finally catching up to him. His body felt strange, lighter somehow, as if his physical form was becoming less substantial as his consciousness expanded. "Man, divine politics are even more complicated than the tournament of power," he muttered to himself. "At least there, I knew who I was fighting." As he rested, his newly expanded awareness drifted back to Earth, seeking out the familiar energy signatures of his family. Chi-Chi was at home, her energy calm but tinged with melancholy. Gohan was with Videl and Pan, their combined auras forming a protective cocoon of familial love. Goten was training with Trunks, their youthful energy bright and resilient despite the recent battle. And Vegeta. Goku focused on his rival's distinctive energy signature, finding him at Capsule Corp with Bulma. To his surprise, Vegeta seemed to be monitoring the planet's defense systems, his attention spread across multiple potential incursion points with a strategic awareness Goku had rarely seen him display. Taking the protection of Earth really seriously, Goku murmured with a smile. "Thanks, Vegeta." His consciousness brushed lightly against his friend's, not a full telepathic connection, but a subtle acknowledgement of his presence. To his surprise, he felt Vegeta pause in whatever he was doing, his energy shifting as if in recognition. "Kakarot?" The prince's gruff voice somehow echoed in Goku's mind, faint but distinct. "Yeah. It's me." Goku replied, excited by this unexpected connection. "Can you hear me, Vegeta?" "Barely," came the response after a moment. "Your energy feels different. What have they done to you?" "I'm learning to expand my awareness across all 12 universes," Goku explained. "Still getting the hang of it. How are things on Earth?" "Manageable, for now." Even across the vast cosmic distance, Vegeta's pride was evident. I've been working with Bulma to develop void detection systems. And Beerus has been teaching me to refine my Hakai energy. It's effective against these creatures. I saw. That was some quick thinking, using destruction energy. He felt Vegeta's satisfaction at the compliment. The woman's technology combined with Wissa's knowledge has helped us create a defensive perimeter around major population centers. But the incursions are becoming more frequent, Goku wrote. Whatever you're doing up there, do it faster. I'm trying, Goku assured him. It's just, there's a lot more to being Grand Priest than I thought. And not everyone here is thrilled about a mortal taking the job. Of course not, Vegeta scoffed. You're disrupting their precious hierarchy. Gods hate when mortals exceed their limitations. I learned that from my time with Beerus. They'll try to mold you into what they want. What should I do? Goku asked, genuinely valuing Vegeta's perspective on navigating this unfamiliar territory. Be Kakarot, Vegeta replied simply. Your infuriating refusal to follow anyone's expectations is what got you this far. Don't start conforming now. There was a pause, then, how long before you can return, even briefly? Your family misses you. A pang of homesickness hit Goku harder than any physical blow. I don't know. The Grand Priest says my body is still transforming. It's dangerous for me to teleport anywhere until the process is complete. Humph. Then complete it quickly. I can't be expected to protect your family and this entire planet indefinitely. Despite the gruff words, Goku could sense the underlying message, hurry back, we need you. I will, he promised. And Vegeta? Thanks for everything you're doing. He felt the prince's embarrassment at the sincere gratitude. Just don't die from whatever cosmic nonsense they're putting you through. I still intend to defeat you properly one day. The connection began to fade as Goku's concentration wavered from exhaustion. The last thing he felt was Vegeta's energy, proud and unyielding, but now unmistakably protective over the planet and people Goku had left in his care. With a small smile, Goku finally allowed himself to rest, slipping into a meditative state between sleep and wakefulness. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new lessons in divine power. And somewhere in the vastness of the multiverse, the Void Emperor's influence continued to grow. The cosmic chess match had only just begun. Weeks passed in the celestial realm, though time flowed differently there than in the mortal universes. For Goku, it felt like both an eternity and an instant as he immersed himself in training more demanding than anything he'd experienced before. Azrael proved to be a harsh but effective teacher, pushing Goku to expand his consciousness further each day, to perceive not just the physical reality of the 12 universes but their underlying structure, the cosmic laws that governed existence itself. Seraphil taught him to manipulate divine energy, a power far more subtle and complex than the destructive force of Ultra Instinct or even Hakai energy. Where mortal ki was like swinging a hammer, divine energy was like performing microsurgery, precise, delicate, with consequences that rippled across multiple dimensions. Other council members contributed specialized knowledge. Kranoa instructed him in temporal mechanics, showing how the flow of time varied across universes and could be adjusted, though never reversed. Lumiel, a serene angel with flowing green hair, taught him about the balance between creation and destruction necessary for cosmic health. Through it all, Goku applied his uniquely straightforward approach, often finding solutions that baffled his divine instructors, shortcuts and innovations that hadn't been considered in eons of tradition. You're treating cosmic law like it's a martial art, Kranoa observed one day after Goku had successfully stabilized a temporal anomaly in Universe 3 using a technique of his own invention. Adapting it, flowing with it, rather than imposing rigid structure. Well, that's kinda how I've always learned, Goku explained, scratching the back of his head. Find what works, make it your own. All these rules and procedures just slow things down. Heresy, muttered another council member named Raziel, who had been particularly resistant to Goku's unorthodox methods. Divine law is absolute, not some technique to be modified on a whim. If it was really absolute, Goku countered, then how come I just fixed that time distortion in half the time using my method? Such exchanges became common as Goku's training progressed. Some council members, like Seraphiel and Lumiel, seemed increasingly impressed with his innovative approaches. Others, like Raziel and Azrael, grew more rigid in their opposition to his methods. The Grand Priest observed it all with his enigmatic smile, intervening only occasionally to provide guidance or prevent conflicts from escalating. He seemed pleased with Goku's progress, though he remained mysterious about the specific timeline for completing his transformation. "Your physical form is adapting well to the divine essence," he commented during one of their infrequent meetings. "Soon you will be able to travel between realms safely." "How soon is soon?" Goku asked eagerly. "I really need to check on Earth, see my family." "Patience, son Goku. The transformation cannot be rushed without risk." Goku's frustration must have shown on his face, because the Grand Priest added, "However, there is a test I believe you are ready for, one that might accelerate your adaptation if successful." "A test? What kind of test?" "A practical application of your training thus far." The Grand Priest waved his hand, creating a display showing universes 11 and 2. A cosmic conflict has arisen between these realms, a dispute over a dimensional boundary where their realities overlap. It threatens to escalate into something that could damage the fabric of both universes. Goku studied the situation, his expanded consciousness easily grasping the details. Universe 11's Pride Troopers, led by Tokpo, who had recently become its god of destruction, were facing off against Universe 2's Warriors of Love over a nebula that existed in both realities simultaneously. "So basically they're fighting over territory?" Goku summarized. "In essence, yes, though the implications go deeper. This shared nebula contains unique energy patterns beneficial to both universes. Neither wishes to relinquish their claim, and their methods of harvesting this energy are incompatible." "And you want me to, what? Play referee?" The Grand Priest's smile widened slightly. "I want you to resolve the conflict in a manner that preserves cosmic balance while respecting the needs of both universes. How you accomplish this is entirely up to you." "By myself?" Goku asked, surprised. "Without any council members supervising?" "Indeed. Consider it your first solo mission as Grand Priest in training." Goku grinned, excitement building at the prospect of a real challenge after weeks of theoretical training. "When do I start?" "Now." The Grand Priest gestured, and a portal opened beside them. "This will transport your essence to the dispute zone. Your physical body will remain here, safe within the celestial realm." "So I'll be there, but not really there?" Goku clarified. "A projection of your divine consciousness, yes. Limited in certain ways, but sufficient for this task." The Grand Priest's expression grew more serious. "Remember, son Goku, your role is not to battle, but to mediate. To find balance where others see only conflict." Goku nodded, his own expression matching the Grand Priest's gravity. "I understand. I won't let you down." With that promise, he stepped through the portal and felt his consciousness stretch across the vastness of space, homing in on the disputed nebula between universes 11 and 2. His form coalesced there as a luminous version of himself, still wearing his traditional gi but now suffused with divine light. Before him, two groups of powerful warriors faced each other across the spectacular cosmic backdrop of the nebula, swirling gases in pink and blue hues, studded with newborn stars. On one side stood Tokpo, Dispo, and several other Pride Troopers. On the other, Ribrian, Rosie, and their fellow Warriors of Love. Neither group noticed his arrival immediately, too focused on their standoff. "This nebula has been part of Universe 11's domain for eons," Tokpo declared, his mustache quivering with indignation. "Your methods of energy extraction disrupt the harmony of destruction and creation we maintain. Your cold, efficiency-based harvesting destroys the love energy that makes this nebula special." Ribrian countered, her form already partially transformed. "Universe 2 has always been the guardian of cosmic love, this nebula belongs under our protection." Hey guys, Goku called out, waving casually. Mind if I join this discussion? All heads turned toward him, expressions of shock replacing anger as they recognized who, or what, had appeared among them. Son Goku. Toppo's eyes widened beneath his mask. What are you doing here? And why do you glow? It's a long story, Goku replied with a grin. Short version, I'm training to become the next Grand Priest, and helping you guys work out this nebula problem is my first test. The Grand Priest, several voices exclaimed simultaneously. Ribrian floated closer, studying him with suspicious eyes. You expect us to believe that you, the battle-loving scion from Universe 7, are becoming the next Grand Priest? I know, right? Surprised me too. Goku laughed, scratching the back of his head. But it's true. And I'm here to help find a solution that works for everyone. There is no compromise possible, Toppo insisted, his aura of destruction flaring. Universe 11 requires the energy of this nebula to maintain cosmic balance after recent void disturbances weakened our boundaries. And Universe 2 needs its love energy to strengthen our warriors against those same void creatures, Ribrian countered. They're appearing in our Universe 2, targeting our maidens of love specifically. Void creatures? Goku's expression sharpened. They're attacking your universes directly? Indeed, Dispo confirmed. Small incursions at first, but growing more frequent. They seem drawn to divine energy signatures, particularly active gods of destruction. This was new information. Goku had been monitoring the universes during his training, but his attention had naturally focused more on Earth and Universe 7. The void incursions were spreading faster than anticipated. Okay, let me think about this, he said, floating into the center of the nebula. Drawing on his new cosmic awareness, Goku expanded his consciousness to fully perceive the nebula's energy patterns. What he found was fascinating. The nebula didn't just exist in both universes simultaneously, it actually served as a natural bridge between them, exchanging energy in a continuous flow. You're both right about needing this energy, he told the assembled warriors. But you're going about collecting it all. Wrong. This nebula isn't just a resource to harvest, it's a connector between your universes. A connector? Rosie questioned. What do you mean? Look, Goku said, channeling divine energy to make the nebula's natural flows visible to everyone. Golden lines of force appeared, showing how energy circulated between Universe 11 and Universe 2 in a perfect yin-yang pattern. The nebula naturally sends energy back and forth between your universes. When Universe 11 extracts energy their way, it disrupts the flow to Universe 2, and vice versa. The warriors studied the visualization with growing understanding. So neither of us can claim it exclusively, Toppo realized, stroking his mustache thoughtfully. Exactly. Goku confirmed. But what if, instead of both trying to take energy out, you work together to enhance the natural exchange? Universe 11 is great at efficiency and structure, right? And Universe 2 specializes in emotional energy and bonds. What are you suggesting? Ribrian asked, her hostility fading into curiosity. A partnership, Goku explained, warming to his idea. Universe 11 could build a special station here to amplify the nebula's natural energy flow, making it stronger for both universes. And Universe 2 could assign some of your love warriors to infuse that structure with emotional energy, making it effective against void creatures specifically. He gestured, using his divine energy to create a three-dimensional model of his proposed solution, a crystalline structure at the nebula's center that would serve as both amplifier and purifier, strengthening the natural connection between the universes while adding a protective quality that would repel void energy. By working together, you'd both get more energy than trying to harvest it separately, Goku concluded. Plus, you'd create a barrier against void incursions in this sector of both universes. Everyone wins. Toppo and Ribrian exchanged thoughtful looks. A joint operation between Universe 11 and Universe 2, Toppo mused. Unprecedented, but logical. Combining the power of justice with the power of love, Ribrian added, warming to the concept. Creating something stronger than either alone. It would require ongoing cooperation, Dispo pointed out. Regular exchanges of personnel and technology. Which would strengthen both our universes through cultural exchange as well, Rosie noted with growing enthusiasm. So, do we have a deal? Goku asked hopefully. After a brief consultation with their respective teams, both leaders turned back to Goku and nodded. Universe 11 accepts these terms, Toppo declared. As does Universe 2, Ribrian agreed. In the name of love and justice combined. Great! Goku exclaimed, genuinely pleased with the outcome. I'll help you get started on the basic structure, then you guys can take it from there. Over the next few hours, Goku worked with both teams to channel divine energy into the nebula, creating the foundation for the joint project. As a former mortal himself, he easily bridged the communication gap between the very different cultures, translating Universe 11's technical concepts for Universe 2's emotion-oriented warriors and vice versa. When the framework was complete, Goku stepped back to admire their work, a beautiful crystalline structure pulsing with both the ordered energy of justice and the radiant warmth of love, perfectly balanced at the nebula's center. It's already strengthening the boundaries of both our universes, Dispo observed, checking readings on a device strapped to his wrist. Void detection is down 12% in adjacent sectors. And the love energy output has doubled. Rosie added excitedly. Toppo approached Goku, offering a formal bow. I must admit, son Goku, when you first appeared claiming to be the Grand Priest's successor, I was skeptical. But your solution honors both justice and love, the core values of our universes. Perhaps you are indeed suited for such a role. Thanks, Toppo, Goku replied with a grin. I'm still figuring it all out, but I'm trying my best. Your best has always been remarkable, Ribrian added, having reverted to her base form. Even when we fought in the tournament of power, your love for battle was pure. Perhaps that purity of heart is what makes you qualified, despite your unrefined nature. She finished with a small smile to soften her words. As they said their goodbyes, Goku felt a tugging sensation, the Grand Priest recalling his consciousness to the celestial realm. He waved to the assembled warriors one last time before allowing himself to be pulled back through the dimensional barriers. Impressive, the Grand Priest remarked as Goku's consciousness reintegrated with his body in the Nexus. A solution that not only resolved the immediate conflict but established ongoing cooperation between universes traditionally isolated from each other. Creative and effective. Goku stretched, readjusting to his physical form. It just made sense. They were so focused on taking energy that they couldn't see how they could make more together. Indeed. The Grand Priest studied him with that penetrating gaze that seemed to see beyond surface thoughts. And your approach, practical, collaborative, emphasizing mutual benefit, is not how divine authorities typically resolve such disputes. How do they usually handle it? Goku asked curiously. Traditionally, the Grand Priest or Council would simply dictate terms based on cosmic law and hierarchical precedent. The universes would be expected to comply without question. Goku frowned. But that wouldn't solve the actual problem. It would just force them to obey until your back was turned. Precisely. The Grand Priest's smile widened fractionally. Which is why your method may represent an improvement on traditional cosmic governance. Before their conversation could continue, they were interrupted by the arrival of several council members, including Azrael, Seraphiel, and Kranoa. From their expressions, they had been monitoring Goku's test. Unorthodox, Azrael pronounced, his tone making it clear this wasn't a compliment. Encouraging universes to collaborate directly rather than maintaining proper divine oversight. This sets a dangerous precedent. I found it rather refreshing, Seraphiel countered. The solution is elegant and self-sustaining. Both universes are strengthened against void incursions without requiring continuous divine intervention. The temporal implications are positive as well, Kranoa added, running calculations on a device that resembled a crystal abacus. Projected timeline stability for both universes has increased by 17%. Azrael's eyes narrowed. The mortal simply got lucky. One success does not validate his approach to cosmic governance. Perhaps not, the Grand Priest acknowledged smoothly. But it does warrant further exploration. Son Goku will continue his training, with increased practical applications. With supervision, I presume, Azrael insisted. With appropriate guidance, the Grand Priest corrected. But Son Goku must be allowed to develop his own approach to the role. That, after all, is why he was chosen. The first angel clearly wanted to object further but restrained himself with visible effort. As you wish, Grand Priest. If you'll excuse me, I must attend to matters in the outer realms. The void disturbances continue to escalate. As Azrael departed, Goku couldn't help noticing a significant look exchanged between him and Raziel, who had remained silent during the discussion. Something about it triggered his fighter's instinct, the same feeling he got when an opponent was hiding their true power. Seraphil must have noticed his attention, because she moved slightly closer and spoke in a lowered voice once Azrael was gone. Well done on your first mission, Son Goku. Not everyone appreciated your methods, but some of us see their value. Thanks, Goku replied, still distracted by what he'd observed. Hey, is it normal for council members to meet privately? Outside of official business? Seraphil's expression sharpened with interest. Not typically, no. The council functions as a collective body. Why do you ask? Just curious, Goku said casually, deciding to keep his observations to himself until he knew more. Still learning how everything works around here. The Grand Priest, who had been conversing with Kranoa, rejoined them. You've earned a period of rest, Son Goku. Your physical transformation is progressing well, accelerated, I believe, by your successful handling of the universe dispute. Soon you'll be able to travel between realms safely. Really? Goku perked up immediately. How soon? Perhaps within days, rather than the weeks I initially projected. The Grand Priest's expression turned more serious. Which is fortunate, as there is a matter developing on Earth that may require your direct attention. Earth? What's happening? Goku's protective instincts immediately flared. The Grand Priest gestured, creating a viewing portal that showed Earth's orbit. Multiple void tears had appeared, larger than any Goku had seen before, forming a pattern around the planet. The void incursions are evolving from random appearances to coordinated patterns, the Grand Priest explained. Earth, as a nexus of divine energy in Universe 7, appears to be a primary target. Goku studied the display with growing concern. Vegeta and the others have been handling the individual attacks, but this looks like it could be an all-out invasion. Indeed. Your friends are resourceful, but this level of void activity may exceed their capabilities. The Grand Priest closed the portal with a wave of his hand. Rest now. When you awaken, we will assess your readiness for interdimensional travel. As the Grand Priest departed with Kranoa, Seraphil lingered a moment longer. One more thing, Son Goku, she said quietly. Your progress has not gone unnoticed beyond the celestial realm. There are whispers that the Void Emperor himself has taken an interest in your ascension. Me? Why would he care about me specifically? Because you represent something unprecedented, a mortal ascending to one of the highest positions in cosmic hierarchy. Some say this validates his belief that the traditional divine structure is flawed. Her expression became troubled. Be vigilant. Not all forces that seek change do so with benevolent intent. With that cryptic warning, she too departed, leaving Goku alone with his thoughts. He made his way to his quarters, a simple room he'd requested instead of the elaborate celestial chambers initially offered to him. Despite his expanded consciousness and growing divine powers, he still preferred the basics when it came to personal comfort. As he settled into a meditative position, Goku reflected on everything he'd learned and experienced since arriving in the celestial realm. The politics of angels, the complex rules of cosmic governance, the hints of conspiracy among the council members, it was all far more complicated than fighting powerful opponents back on Earth. And yet, in some ways, it wasn't so different. There were still allies and adversaries, still challenges to overcome and problems to solve. The stakes were higher, the powers more abstract, but the core principles remained the same: protect what matters, face challenges head-on, and find a way forward even when the path seems impossible. With that thought comforting him, Goku allowed his consciousness to drift into the divine equivalent of sleep, a state of expanded awareness where his mind could process the incredible amount of cosmic knowledge he'd absorbed in recent weeks. Soon, he would return to Earth, see his family, check on his friends. And after that? After that would come the true test of his training, facing whatever coordinated void assault was forming around his home planet. One way or another, Son Goku would be ready. A sharp spike of divine energy jarred Goku from his meditative rest. He opened his eyes to find Seraphil standing in his quarters, her usual serene expression replaced by urgent concern. "You must come quickly," she said without preamble. "Something's happening with Earth's void rifts." Fully alert instantly, Goku followed her through the crystalline corridors of the Nexus to a large observation chamber where several council members had already gathered around a massive viewing portal. The scene it displayed made Goku's heart skip a beat. The void tiers around Earth had multiplied exponentially, no longer random but forming a distinct geometric pattern, a 12-pointed star surrounding the planet. From each point, darkness poured inward, reaching toward the surface like grasping fingers. "When did this start?" Goku demanded. "Approximately 1 hour ago," Kranoa replied, manipulating complex symbols in the air before him. "The pattern suggests coordinated intent rather than random incursion." "We must act immediately," declared Lumiel, the green-haired angel of creation. "If those tendrils reach Earth's core, the entire planet could be consumed by void energy." Goku scanned the surface of the planet, quickly locating his friends and family. Vegeta, Gohan, Piccolo, and the other Z fighters had positioned themselves strategically around the globe, each defending against a different tendril of darkness. Bulma appeared to have deployed some kind of energy barrier around major cities, but the void energy was steadily eroding it. "Where's the Grand Priest?" Goku asked, already channeling his divine energy in preparation. "Attending Zeno," Raziel answered. "He cannot be disturbed for anything less than multiversal collapse." "Convenient timing," Seraphil murmured, so quietly that only Goku heard her. "Then I'm going to Earth," Goku decided. "My transformation is far enough along, out of the question," Azrael interrupted, having just entered the chamber. "Your physical form is not yet stable enough for interdimensional travel. The attempt could destroy you, or worse, create a catastrophic rupture between realms. I can't just watch while my planet and family are under attack." Goku protested. "Your personal attachments cloud your judgment," Azrael replied coldly. "This is precisely why mortals are unsuitable for divine authority. The Council will handle this incursion according to established protocol." "And what protocol is that?" Goku demanded. Azrael turned to the other council members. "Prepare for dimensional quarantine. If the void corruption cannot be contained, Earth must be isolated to prevent contamination of the broader universe." "Quarantine?" Goku's aura flared with indignation. "You're talking about abandoning Earth to save the rest of the universe." "I am talking about preserving cosmic balance," Azrael corrected. "The needs of one planet, however significant to you personally, cannot outweigh the safety of an entire universe." "There must be another solution," Seraphil interjected, looking between Goku and Azrael. "Perhaps a coordinated energy transfer, channeling divine power to Earth's defenders to help them seal the rifts?" "Too risky," Kranoa objected. "Divine energy must be precisely calibrated for mortal vessels. An error could be fatal to the recipients." As the council members debated, Goku turned his attention back to the viewing portal, focusing specifically on Vegeta. His rival was currently facing one of the largest void tendrils, his Hakai-infused energy barely holding it at bay. Even from the celestial realm, Goku could sense Vegeta's growing exhaustion. Making a decision, Goku closed his eyes and reached out with his expanded consciousness, establishing the same kind of connection he'd formed with Vegeta during his early training. Vegeta. Can you hear me? After a moment of silence, Vegeta's gruff voice echoed in his mind. Kakarot. Your timing is atrocious as usual. We're a bit busy here. I can see that. Listen, those void rifts aren't random, they're forming a pattern around the entire planet. Someone or something is coordinating this attack. Tell me something I don't know. Vegeta snapped, his mental voice strained with effort. Bulma detected the pattern forming hours ago. We've deployed everyone strategically, but we're losing ground. The angels here are talking about quarantining Earth if you can't contain it, Goku warned. I'm trying to find a way to help, but they won't let me leave the celestial realm yet. Typical divine nonsense, Vegeta growled. We've been experimenting with a new approach based on Bulma's research. The void energy seems to respond to concentrated divine ki, not by absorbing it, but by recoiling from specific frequencies. Divine ki at specific frequencies? Goku repeated, an idea beginning to form. Like tuning energy to a particular wavelength? Exactly. Whis helped us identify the resonant frequency that disrupts void stability. The problem is, none of us can generate enough divine energy at that precise frequency to close these massive rifts. But I could, Goku realized. From here, I could channel divine energy tuned to that frequency. If you could direct it through existing power conduits, Vegeta confirmed. Bulma has set up amplifiers at each defense point, designed to receive and redistribute energy. Goku opened his eyes, his mind racing with possibilities. The council members were still debating, seemingly no closer to a solution. Without interrupting them, he focused on the viewing portal, identifying the energy amplifiers Vegeta had mentioned, technological marvels that combined Bulma's genius with principles derived from angel staves. I need to try something, he announced, interrupting the council's discussion. Earth's defenders have created a network designed to channel and amplify divine energy at specific frequencies. If I can connect to it from here, impossible, Raziel declared dismissively. No mortal technology could serve as a conduit for celestial power across dimensional boundaries. It's not just mortal technology, Goku countered. Whis helped design it. And it doesn't need to channel my full power, just a specific frequency of divine energy tuned to disrupt void stability. Seraphiel moved closer to the viewing portal, studying the amplifiers with growing interest. He could be right. These devices incorporate principles similar to our staff technology. With proper calibration. This is highly irregular, Azrael objected. Channeling divine power through unauthorized conduits violates multiple cosmic protocols. So does standing by while a planet is consumed by void energy. Goku shot back, his patience wearing thin. Look, I'm going to try this with or without your approval. You can help make it safer, or you can keep arguing while Earth dies. Your choice. The determination in his voice seemed to give the council members pause. After a moment, Kranoa stepped forward. I will assist with temporal synchronization, he offered. Ensuring the energy arrives simultaneously at all 12 nexus points will be crucial for success. I too will help, Lumiel added. Creation energy can stabilize the conduit pathways, reducing strain on both the mortal technology and Son Goku's still transforming essence. One by one, most of the council members offered their assistance, until only Azrael and Raziel remained opposed. Outnumbered, Azrael fixed Goku with a cold stare. Proceed with your plan, mortal. But know this, if you create a dimensional catastrophe, the consequences will fall on you alone. With that ominous warning, he and Raziel departed, leaving Goku and the supportive council members to prepare. Working quickly, they established a connection to Earth's defense network, calibrating their divine energy to the specific frequency Bulma and Whis had identified. "I'll channel the primary stream," Goku told the others. "Guide it and stabilize it, but don't try to control it completely. This needs to flow like a martial arts technique, responsive, adaptive." Positioning himself at the center of the chamber, Goku closed his eyes and expanded his consciousness fully, reaching out to Earth with all the divine awareness he had developed. He could feel each of his friends, Vegeta, Gohan, Piccolo, Krillin, and the others, positioned around the globe, fighting desperately against the encroaching darkness. Everyone connected to the amplifiers, he called out telepathically, his voice reaching all the defenders simultaneously. "I'm going to channel divine energy from the celestial realm. Be ready to direct it against the void rifts." He sensed their surprise, followed by determined acknowledgement as they moved into position around Bulma's amplifiers. Vegeta's voice came through strongest. "Don't mess this up, Kakarot. We only get one shot at this. When have I ever let you down?" Goku replied with characteristic confidence. Drawing deeply on his developing divine power, Goku began channeling energy through the multidimensional conduit they had established. It was unlike anything he had ever attempted before, not a concentrated blast or a fighting technique, but a precisely tuned flow of cosmic power, calibrated to disrupt the specific frequency of void energy. Around him, the council members added their support, stabilizing the energy pathways and ensuring temporal synchronization across all 12 nexus points on Earth. The viewing portal showed the divine energy manifesting around each amplifier as a golden-white radiance that quickly spread to encompass the defenders. Goku could feel the strain immediately, channeling divine power across dimensional boundaries while his own transformation remained incomplete was like trying to direct a raging river through a straw. His physical form began to flicker, divine essence struggling to remain cohesive under the pressure. "Son Goku, you must moderate the flow," Seraphil warned. "Your form is destabilizing." "Can't, hold back," Goku grunted through clenched teeth. "Need, full power, to close all rifts simultaneously." On Earth, the defenders had begun directing the divine energy against the void tendrils. Where the calibrated power struck void energy, the darkness recoiled, writhing like a living thing in pain. The smaller rifts began to close, the geometric pattern destabilizing as its points were severed one by one. But the strain on Goku was becoming critical. Golden white cracks appeared across his skin as his partly divine, partly mortal form struggled to channel the massive power flow. Sweat poured down his face, and his aura fluctuated wildly between mortal ki and divine essence. "You must stop," Kranoa urged. "Your physical form cannot withstand this level of dimensional channeling." "Not until they're safe," Goku insisted, his voice distorted by the power surging through him. In desperation, he reached deeper than ever before, past his developing divine power and into the core of what made him Son Goku, his unbreakable will, his unwavering determination to protect those he cared about. Something shifted within him, a final barrier giving way between his mortal identity and divine potential. With a cry that echoed across dimensional boundaries, Goku released everything he had into the energy stream. The chamber around him flooded with blinding light as his physical form briefly dissolved into pure divine essence, no longer mortal, not yet fully celestial, but something unique between both states. On Earth, the amplifiers blazed with power beyond their designed capacity. The defenders, linked through the network, felt Goku's essence flow through them, his determination, his protective spirit, his absolute refusal to accept defeat. Empowered beyond their normal limits, they directed this ultimate energy against the void rifts simultaneously. The effect was spectacular. The void tendrils didn't just retreat, they shattered, disintegrating into particles that quickly faded from existence. The geometric pattern collapsed entirely, its coordinated intelligence disrupted beyond recovery. One by one, the major rifts sealed, the smaller tiers following in a cascade of closing fissures. In the observation chamber, the blinding light finally faded. Where Goku had stood was now a sphere of swirling divine energy, gradually condensing back into a humanoid form. The council members watched in astonishment as his body reconstituted itself, similar to his original appearance, but subtly changed. His hair retained its black color but now seemed to contain pinpoints of light like distant stars. His skin had the same slightly blue tint as the angels, and a faint aura of divine energy surrounded him permanently. Goku opened his eyes, which now held the same multidimensional depth as the Grand Priests, though they retained their original shape and warmth. "Did it work?" he asked, his voice sounding simultaneously beside them and from a great distance. "See for yourself," Seraphiel replied, gesturing to the viewing portal. The scene showed Earth, completely free of void rifts, its defenders looking around in bewildered triumph as the last traces of darkness vanished. Vegeta stood atop Capsule Corporation, arms crossed as he stared up at the sky with a knowing smirk. "You did it, Kakarot," his voice came faintly through their fading connection. "Show off." Goku laughed, the sound rippling with harmonic undertones that hadn't been present before. "I had good help." He turned to the council members who had assisted him, offering a deep bow. "Thank you. I couldn't have done it without you." "What you accomplished should have been impossible," Lumiel said, studying him with newfound respect. "Channeling divine energy across dimensional boundaries while your own transformation was incomplete, the strain should have destroyed you completely. Instead, it seems to have accelerated your transformation," Kranoa observed. "Fascinating. Your physical form has now stabilized in a state between mortal and divine, similar to an angel's composition, but with distinct differences. Does that mean I can go to Earth now?" Goku asked eagerly. "Visit my family?" "I believe it does," Seraphiel confirmed with a smile. "Though you should probably rest first. Even with your new form, that level of energy expenditure must have been taxing." As if her words had reminded his body of its exhaustion, Goku suddenly felt his knees buckle. He would have collapsed if not for Lumiel quickly steadying him. "Definitely need a snack and a nap," Goku admitted with a weary grin. Before they could move him to his quarters, however, the chamber doors flew open to admit the Grand Priest, his usual serene expression replaced by one of alert concern. "I felt a massive disturbance in the divine energy matrix," he said, looking around the chamber until his gaze settled on Goku. His eyes widened fractionally. "Ah! I see the source." "Grand Priest," Seraphiel greeted him with a respectful bow. "Earth was under coordinated void attack. Son Goku devised a solution when quarantine seemed the only option." "Did he indeed?" The Grand Priest studied Goku with penetrating intensity. "And in the process, it appears he's completed the first phase of his transformation. Most unexpected, and impressive." "Sorry if I broke any rules," Goku said, trying to stand straighter despite his exhaustion. "But I couldn't let Earth be destroyed or quarantined." To his surprise, the Grand Priest smiled. "Rules exist to serve cosmic balance, Son Goku, not the other way around. Your solution was unorthodox but effective, and it revealed something significant about the void incursions." "What do you mean?" Goku asked. "The pattern of the attack, a 12-pointed star, is a specific geometric signature. One associated with a particular entity." "The Void Emperor," Goku guessed. The Grand Priest nodded. This was not a random incursion or even a strategic target. It was a message, directed at you specifically. "At me? Why would the Void Emperor target Earth to send me a message?" "Perhaps to demonstrate his reach. Perhaps to test your capabilities. Or perhaps," the Grand Priest's voice lowered slightly, "to determine if you are truly committed to your new role." The implications of this settled uncomfortably over the chamber. If Earth had been targeted specifically because of Goku's ascension to Grand Priest. "This is what Azrael feared," Kranoa murmured. "Personal attachments becoming vulnerabilities. Or strengths," the Grand Priest countered. Son Goku's connection to Earth drove him to find a solution beyond traditional protocols, one that succeeded where conventional approaches might have failed. He turned back to Goku. "Rest now. Your new form requires time to stabilize fully." Tomorrow, we will discuss what this development means for your continued training, and for our response to the Void Emperor's apparent interest in you. As the Grand Priest departed with most of the council members, Seraphiel remained behind to help Goku to his quarters. Along the way, he couldn't help noticing how differently the celestial realm appeared to his new senses. Layers of reality he hadn't perceived before were now visible, the subtle interconnections between dimensions apparent in ways he previously couldn't comprehend. Everything looks, more, he commented, struggling to find words for what he was experiencing. Seraphiel nodded understandingly. Your perception has expanded beyond linear dimensionality. You're seeing the causal connections between realms, the probabilistic wave functions of reality itself. It's beautiful, Goku said simply. Complicated, but beautiful. Indeed. She helped him to his bed, where he sat heavily, his new form still awkward in its movements as he adjusted to its different relationship with gravity and space. Rest well, son Goku. You've earned it, and tomorrow brings new challenges. As she turned to leave, Goku called after her. Seraphiel. Thank you for supporting my plan. Not everyone on the council would have. She paused at the door, her expression growing serious. The council is divided on many things, son Goku, most significantly on how to respond to the void threat. Some believe in preservation of traditional hierarchies at any cost. Others see the need for evolution. And which are you? Goku asked curiously. A small smile touched her lips. I believe the multiverse chooses its own champions, often from unexpected places. The fact that your unorthodox solution succeeded where our traditional approaches would have failed, that speaks volumes. With that enigmatic statement, she departed, leaving Goku alone with his thoughts and his newly transformed body. Despite his exhaustion, sleep didn't come immediately. His expanded consciousness kept reaching outward, checking on Earth, on his family, ensuring they were truly safe. Chi-Chi was at home, her energy signature calm now that the crisis had passed. Gohan was with Videl and Pan, all three recovering from the strain of the battle. Goten was with Trunks at Capsule Corp, helping Bulma analyze data from the successful defense. And Vegeta. Goku smiled as he sensed his rival still standing guard, scanning the skies for any sign of renewed threat. Always the protector, even if he'd deny it if confronted. Thanks, Vegeta, Goku murmured. I'll be home soon. As his consciousness finally began to drift toward whatever passed for sleep in his new semi-divine state, one thought remained foremost in Goku's mind: the Void Emperor had targeted Earth specifically to send him a message. Which meant this was no longer just about cosmic balance or divine hierarchy. It had become personal, exactly the kind of challenge that Son Goku had never been able to walk away from. The next morning, though morning was a relative concept in the celestial realm, Goku awoke to find his quarters transformed. The simple room he had requested had been replaced with a chamber that shifted and flowed according to his thoughts, the walls displaying whatever scenery he desired. Currently, it showed the mountain landscape around his Earth home, rendered with perfect fidelity down to the smallest blade of grass. Neat, Goku murmured, experimentally thinking of Beerus's planet. Instantly, the view shifted to show the strange trees and purple sky of the God of Destruction's domain. A soft chime announced a visitor. Before Goku could respond, the door dissolved to reveal the Grand Priest. I see you're exploring your new accommodations, he observed, entering as the door reformed behind him. Your quarters have been upgraded to match your new status. The environment will respond to your consciousness, a practical application of your divine essence. It's amazing, Goku admitted, returning the view to Earth's mountains out of comfort. Everything feels different now. Clearer, but also, more complex. A natural consequence of your transformation. The Grand Priest gestured, and comfortable seating appeared for both of them. Your consciousness now perceives multiple layers of reality simultaneously. With time, you'll learn to focus on specific aspects as needed. As they sat, Goku noticed his body felt more natural today, the awkwardness of his new form fading as his mind adapted to its capabilities. So what happens now? Am I officially the Grand Priest yet? Not yet, the Grand Priest smiled. What you've achieved is the first phase of ascension, the transformation of your physical essence from purely mortal to semi-divine. 2 more phases remain, the expansion of your cosmic awareness to encompass all 12 universes simultaneously at all times, and the transfer of the specific authorities and responsibilities of the Grand Priest. That sounds intense, Goku said, trying to imagine maintaining awareness of 12 universes constantly. It is demanding, yes. But yesterday's events demonstrated your remarkable adaptability. You channeled divine energy across dimensional boundaries while your transformation was incomplete, a feat I would have declared impossible. I just did what needed doing, Goku shrugged. When my friends are in danger, I don't really think about what's possible or impossible. And therein lies your unique qualification for this role, the Grand Priest said, leaning forward slightly. Divine beings are bound by their understanding of cosmic law, by what they perceive as possible within established parameters. You, shaped by mortal experience, see beyond those limitations. Goku absorbed this thoughtfully. The Void Emperor, he targeted Earth specifically because of me, didn't he? Yes, the Grand Priest confirmed gravely. The pattern was unmistakable, a direct communication in the language of cosmic geometry. He is aware of your ascension and chose to test your resolve by threatening what you value most. Why? What does he want with me? The Grand Priest's expression grew distant, as if seeing across vast expanses of time. The Void Emperor believes the current multiverse structure is fundamentally flawed, that separation into distinct universes with hierarchical oversight restricts the true potential of existence. For eons, his quarrel has been with Zeno and myself, the architects and maintainers of this system. And now I'm entering the picture as your replacement, Goku concluded. So he's curious about me? More than curious, I believe. Your emergence represents something unprecedented, a mortal ascending to divine authority through merit rather than design. This validates certain aspects of his philosophy while challenging others. You think he's trying to recruit me? Goku asked, the concept seeming absurd. Or test you. Or perhaps simply understand what you represent. The Grand Priest folded his hands. In any case, his direct involvement elevates the urgency of completing your training. You must be prepared to face him as an equal when the inevitable confrontation comes. And my family? My friends? Will they be targeted again? Almost certainly, the Grand Priest confirmed. Which is why you must learn to protect them without compromising your broader responsibilities. Goku stood, moving to the illusory window that showed Earth's mountains. I need to see them. To check on them personally. I anticipated this request. The Grand Priest rose as well. Your new form is stable enough for interdimensional travel. A brief visit to Earth would be permitted, and would serve as a practical test of your ability to maintain divine consciousness in a mortal realm. Goku turned, his face lighting up with excitement. Really? I can go home. For a limited time, yes. There is a formal presentation ceremony being prepared to introduce you to representatives from all 12 universes. You must return before then. The Grand Priest's expression grew more serious. And you must be cautious. Your divine energy will be highly visible to void entities. Your presence on Earth could attract further incursions. I understand, Goku nodded, already mentally preparing for the journey. How do I get there? Instant transmission. Your divine form allows for more direct methods. The Grand Priest moved his hand in a simple gesture. Focus on your destination, visualize the dimensional boundaries, and simply, step through them. Following the Grand Priest's example, Goku raised his hand and concentrated on Earth, specifically, the yard of his mountain home. To his amazement, reality seemed to fold before him, creating an opening that showed his destination as clearly as if he were looking through a window. That's even easier than instant transmission, he remarked with a grin. Indeed. Your divine essence naturally interfaces with the cosmic structure. The Grand Priest stepped back. Remember, this visit must be brief. The celestial realm requires your presence as we prepare for the formal ceremony. Goku nodded, then paused before stepping through the portal. One more thing, yesterday, when Earth was under attack, Azrael wanted to quarantine the planet rather than save it. Is that really standard protocol? A shadow passed briefly across the Grand Priest's face. Azrael's views on cosmic preservation are strict. He believes in maintaining overall structure, even at significant local cost. That's a fancy way of saying he'd sacrifice a planet to keep things tidy, Goku translated bluntly. Your interpretation is not entirely inaccurate, the Grand Priest acknowledged with the faintest hint of a smile. Which is perhaps why the multiverse requires a Grand Priest with a different perspective now. With that thought to consider, Goku stepped through the dimensional opening he'd created, instantly transporting himself across the boundaries between the Celestial Realm and Mortal Universe 7. The mountain air of Earth hit Goku's senses like a wave of nostalgia, fresh, clean, and filled with the subtle energy signatures of countless living things. He materialized in the yard of his small home, the midday sun warm on his now slightly blue-tinted skin. For a moment, he simply stood there, taking it all in. After weeks in the celestial realm with its abstract landscapes and multidimensional spaces, the simple reality of Earth felt simultaneously grounding and oddly limited, like returning to a childhood home and finding everything smaller than remembered. His enhanced senses detected Chi-Chi inside, her familiar energy signature a beacon to his heart. Without waiting another moment, he moved to the door, noticing with mild surprise that his feet didn't quite touch the ground unless he consciously willed them to. Chi-Chi, he called, stepping inside. I'm home. There was a clatter from the kitchen, and then Chi-Chi appeared in the doorway, dish towel still in hand, her eyes widening in shock. Goku, she whispered, staring at his transformed appearance. Is that really you? It's me, he confirmed with his characteristic grin, though he now realized how different he must look to her. Sorry about the blue skin and floating thing. Still getting used to it myself. She approached cautiously, one hand reaching up to touch his face. When her fingers met his skin, she gasped softly. You're warm. I thought you might be cold, like the angels. Nope, still me in here, Goku assured her, covering her hand with his own. Just with some upgrades. The familiar touch seemed to break through her shock. With a cry that was half joy, half anguish, Chi-Chi threw herself against his chest, arms wrapping tightly around him. I thought I might never see you again. They told us you were changing, becoming something else. Goku held her close, surprised to find tears pricking at his own eyes. His divine senses could perceive not just her physical presence but the complex emotional energies swirling around her, love, relief, fear, and a profound sadness that pierced him deeper than any physical attack ever had. I'm sorry I couldn't come sooner, he murmured into her hair. My body was still changing. It wasn't safe to travel between realms. Chi-Chi pulled back slightly, studying his transformed features. Your eyes, they look like they contain universes now. Pretty much do, Goku admitted with a small laugh. I can see all kinds of things now, energy patterns, dimensional boundaries, the way everything connects to everything else. It's pretty wild. But you're still you. Still my Goku. The vulnerability in her question made his heart ache. Always, he promised, leaning down to kiss her gently. The packaging's a little different, but what matters is still the same. As they embraced again, Goku felt a familiar energy approaching rapidly, several familiar energies, in fact. He smiled against Chi-Chi's hair. Looks like Gohan and the others sensed me arrive, he said. They're heading this way now. Sure enough, within minutes Gohan landed in the yard, with Goten, Videl, and Pan not far behind. They rushed inside, stopping short at the sight of Goku's transformed appearance. Dad? Gohan's voice held the same mixture of wonder and uncertainty that Chi-Chi's had. Grandpa's all sparkly. Pan exclaimed, the innocent observation breaking the tension. Goku laughed, kneeling down to her level. "That's right, Pan. Grandpa's got a new look. Want to see something cool?" He held out his hand and formed a tiny star of divine energy that danced and swirled above his palm. Pan's eyes widened in delight as she reached for it. The energy responded to her touch, swirling around her fingers without burning. "It tickles," she giggled. "Dad, your energy signature is completely different," Gohan said, his scientific mind already analyzing what he was sensing. "It's similar to Whisa's, but with something uniquely, still present." "That's what they tell me," Goku confirmed, standing as Pan continued to play with the tiny star he'd created. "I'm not fully divine yet, still one more stage to go, but I'm not really mortal anymore either." "Is that why you could send us that divine energy during the void attack?" Goten asked. "That was amazing. We were about to be overrun when suddenly, boom. All that power came through the amplifiers." "Yeah, that was me," Goku acknowledged. "Though I couldn't have done it without Bulma's technology and everyone working together. You all did great holding the line until I could help." "It was a close call," Gohan said soberly. "Those void creatures were organized this time, targeting strategic points, coordinating their attacks. If your energy hadn't come when it did." "Let's not dwell on what didn't happen," Chi-Chi interrupted firmly. "My husband is home, even if it's just for a visit. Let's enjoy the time we have." The gathering quickly took on a celebratory atmosphere as more friends arrived, word of Goku's return spreading rapidly. Bulma, Vegeta, and Trunks showed up, followed by Piccolo, Krillin, 18, and eventually most of the Z fighters. Bulma brought food, knowing Chi-Chi wouldn't have prepared for such a crowd, and soon the small house and yard were filled with laughter, conversation, and the chaotic energy of reunion. Goku found himself pulled in every direction. Everyone wanted to hear about the celestial realm, to understand his transformation, to know what being the next Grand Priest would entail. He answered as best he could, though many aspects of his experience defied conventional language. Eventually, he found himself momentarily alone with Vegeta, the two of them standing at the edge of the yard while the others continued celebrating. "So, Kakarot," Vegeta said, arms crossed as he studied Goku's transformed appearance, "is this what becoming a deity looks like? Blue skin and floating everywhere?" Goku chuckled. "Pretty much. Though apparently I'm still not done changing. 2 more phases to go before I'm officially Grand Priest." "Humph. At least you still look somewhat Saiyan. I half expected them to give you one of those ridiculous hairstyles all the angels have." "Don't rule it out yet," Goku joked. "Maybe that's phase 3. They shared a brief laugh before Vegeta's expression turned more serious. "Yesterday's attack was different from the others. More calculated. If your divine energy hadn't arrived when it did." "I know," Goku nodded. "The Grand Priest thinks the Void Emperor was targeting Earth specifically because of me, sending a message. Using your home planet as leverage," Vegeta concluded with a scowl. "Typical divine politics. This is why I've always despised gods and their games." "It's not going to work though," Goku said with quiet determination. "If anything, it just makes me more committed to mastering this Grand Priest stuff so I can protect everyone properly." Vegeta studied him for a moment. "Something went wrong with this response, please try again. Begin writing what comes in the next chapter. Start building the next chapter." Chapter 3, Beyond Divinity Opening, Goku returns briefly to Earth as the boundaries between universes weaken. His power has grown but so have the Void incursions. He finds Vegeta leading Earth's defense alongside the Z fighters. Their reunion is interrupted when the Grand Priest appears, gravely injured from a battle at the edge of existence. Before losing consciousness, he transfers some of his power and knowledge directly to Goku. Middle section, the knowledge transfer reveals the Void Emperor's full plan, to collapse all universes back into primordial chaos from which he'll create a free multiverse without divine rule. Goku experiences fragments of the Grand Priest's memories, including the original battle to seal the Emperor. With the Grand Priest incapacitated, Goku must rally allies. He and Vegeta travel across universes, recruiting former Tournament of Power competitors and even previous enemies. Meanwhile, loyal council members prepare the Celestial Realm's defenses. The assembled forces journey to the Null Zone, the void between multiverses where the Emperor dwells. There, Goku confronts him directly, finding not a monster but a charismatic entity who makes compelling arguments about freedom from divine rule. The Emperor offers Goku the chance to create a multiverse where everyone, even gods, can choose their destiny. As the battle begins, Goku must use both his fighting instincts and new cosmic understanding. The Emperor nearly wins by targeting Goku's attachments, creating illusions of his family and friends suffering. Vegeta's intervention saves Goku from mental destruction. The end. Thank you for watching this video. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel and like this video.